And James, Monday through Friday, 8 to 11 Eastern Time. Your home for all things Big 12.
And away we go on a Wednesday. Happiness is a choice. Thank you for choosing us. Along with James Westling, I'm Ari Tepkin. It's Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. And we are joined right away by the athletic director at BYU, Brian Santiago. Kind enough to join us here bright and early this morning. Appreciate you waking up with us. How are you, Brian? Good to see you.
Doing fantastic. Always good to be on with you guys, Ari and James. It's great. Love promoting the Big 12. There's so many great things happening.
Yeah, and we were just talking a little bit before the interview started, and you are a legendary former Fresno State basketball player. They set the single season assist record at Fresno. Am I right about that? 223.
Yeah.
And is second on the all-time list despite only playing 2 years at Fresno, which is an insane thing. And so you were talking about how you're still playing these days.
Yeah, just trying to keep the mind right. We got a good group of guys and get together in the mornings, and just trying to stay in shape. And always good to get a sweat on the basketball court. And we have a few rules. They give me space, let me keep shooting that thing. So we make it fun.
Are you more shooting from three or on the assist side of things? Because you were also a really good three-point shooter.
Yeah, I love setting other guys up. My dad always told me it's better to make an assist than score.
I agree.
Something about being a point guard, but these days I get a fair amount of FGAs up. I passed my old career, so now I take a fair amount of threes.
Well, Brian, Jimmer Fredette joined us several weeks ago on the program and actually gave us some shooting tips that we could share with our sons. And so, man, I took those to heart. I'm in the backyard shooting hoops and making sure that everything's aligned. And Jimmer, his stuff stuck with me.
Yeah, Jimmer's one of a kind. I love that guy. We had some epic little shootouts back in the day when we were on the road together. We'd had some epic games. In fact, one night before San Diego State game down in San Diego, I was dressed in my work clothes at the time. We played a little game of 2-up, meaning if I shoot and make it, he shoots and misses, I'm 1-up, and you play until somebody's 2-up. We shot 150 threes before somebody got 2-up.
Wow.
It was an epic battle. I have to admit, I don't like admitting this, but he got me in the end. I had a couple of shots to close him out, but he's one of a kind. Not only a great player, one of the greatest shooters of all time, but just one of the great dudes on planet Earth. Still heavily involved in what we're doing at BYU, which makes it great. But all I got for you guys is balance, elbow, eyes, follow through. Balance, elbow, eyes, follow through. Beef, baby. Let's go.
Love it. Okay, that one's
That's an easy one to remember.
Taking copious notes here. Outstanding. Jersey patch. Let's talk about BYU recently inked a deal. Share with us the details. And if I understand correctly, this doesn't cover all sports, which leaves the door open for some other sports as you guys look to generate revenue from the jersey patches. That's really a thing catching on across the country.
Yeah. Ari and James, it's something that we feel like everyone else, a new opportunity to have relationships with some of your best companies, best partners out there that are passionate about BYU. We've chosen to break it down 3 ways. So there's a football patch, Entrada. You saw we announced that deal 2-3 weeks ago. Great partners that are going to be football exclusive partners on our patch. We're in final negotiations on men's and women's basketball. And then we just had a great opportunity for our Olympic sports to sign a deal with BYU Continuing Education, which is a group on campus that continues to provide educational opportunities to the world, and wanted to have a relationship with all of our Olympic sports. And so we feel super fortunate at BYU to have incredible companies, incredible relationships internally and externally that make a difference for us. And the best thing about it is everybody wants to do it, to invest in these student athletes. which is exactly what we want to do. For us, it's way bigger than sport. We want to make sure that we're giving opportunities to our student athletes to keep building them, keep lifting them, keep empowering them, because we got to prepare them for life after sport. And we feel like we're partnering with these companies. Adam Edmonds is the CEO and of Entrada, and has come to the table and just said, "Hey, we want to make a difference for this football program moving forward." So we feel very grateful.
And how does that? I'm curious for kind of your understanding of the Monster deal. There's been a lot of talk about it over the last 24 to 48 hours, and certainly since it was announced at Big 12 Media Days. Like, what's your perspective and vantage point of this Monster deal with the Big 12?
Well, it's one of the things I love about Commissioner Yormark is he's constantly trying to think outside of the box, constantly trying to build the brand of the Big 12 and all the brands of the schools that are partners in the Big 12. And so to have Monster come to the table, it's created a lot of chatter. But the bottom line, at the end of the day, you're trying to enhance the brand. You're trying to bring partners to the table that are going to make a difference for you. And the thing that I love about Brett now is long game. He's always thinking long game, not short game. Is this certainly a launch into a new platform with these jersey patches? There's no proven commodity. Everyone's coming to the table trying to find the very best thing for their conferences, for their schools, and he came to the table with something that is just the start of something way bigger. And so it'll be exciting to see how that plays out for everyone.
Brian, with the kind of, I guess, deadline, for lack of a better term, looming for the Protect College Sports Act, what were, I guess, some of the highlights or the talking points when the conference athletic directors got together with the commissioner, Brett Yormark, and just what's your take on the bill itself?
Well, first want to express gratitude. We've got ADs and others that are spending a lot of time on the Hill and in Washington D.C. trying to protect college sports. And I've said it once, I'll say it 100 times. There has to be a path forward that's sustainable. There's got to be a model that's sustainable that kind of brings some order to college athletics. Right now, what it's doing, it's pretty divisive. It's really, really tough to operate when it seems like there are 100 different ways that people are operating. And I'm super excited about the possibility of having some semblance of order and a sustainable model that we can all live with, and put ourselves in a situation where the water's kind of calm. It's named the Protect College Sports Act for a reason. There's got to be continuity. We've got to give these incredible coaches that we have and student athletes a platform where they have continuity, where they can continue to develop and grow, be mentored by the right people, and certainly with some of the things that are being talked about, I think it's going to bring way more calm to the waters than turbulence.
BYU has finished number 25 in the Learfield Directors Cup for the second straight year, so that's tops in the Big 12 under Brian Santiago, who's joining us here on Big 12 today. How do you balance resources across all sports right now?
Well, that is a great question. There's certainly some, across the country, you can feel it. There's a lot of focus on making sure, it's called revenue share for a reason. We all know that we got to make sure to prioritize football. They lead out, and certainly men's basketball comes into play in a big way. But for us, we want to have a well-balanced athletic department. We have a tradition of excellence across all sports. We are motivated to be one of the top teams in the country in the Directors Cup, and certainly being in the top 25 and being at the top of the Big 12 is a big thing for us. It's a tribute to our coaches and to our student athletes. but it's also a tribute to BYU. Over a long period of time, we've tried to focus on broad-based excellence. And what I'm really, really grateful for, and you guys understand this, I'm really, really grateful for Kalani and our football program, and KY, our basketball program, the way they lead out. They're nationally relevant. They do it the BYU way. You all know we're a faith-based institution. That is a huge part of our mission, and we feel like it's a strength for us. We're going to continue to capitalize and focus on the overall person, trying to develop these young men and women into leaders of faith that can go out and change the world when they're done playing, but not at the expense of not being great. And that's what's exciting. Our football team has been right on the cusp of the college football playoff for the last 2 years, when really nobody gave us a chance to be there. Incredible. Our basketball program has brought a lot of positive attention to our university, has been nationally competitive and made a good run in the tournament KY's first year, and caught the injury bug a little bit last year, but still unbelievable season with AJ. And so with those two leading out and being excellent, it really drives all of our other programs to be excellent. And certainly you see the success our cross-country programs are having with Ed Eyestone and Diljit Taylor, national champions a couple of years ago. We've got some of the best runners in the world. I could go down the list. Our women's basketball team, Lee Kamard, great first year. We're really excited about the future of BYU athletics.
And with BYU, it feels like BYU is starting to become a brand when it comes to college athletics, and you guys have done a remarkable job of enhancing that. What are some of the kind of strategic things or positioning that you guys work to accomplish when it comes to what is now probably more important than ever, being a big brand in college athletics?
Yeah, our brand is elevated significantly, and it starts with this university. It's one of the great universities in all of the world, and it literally has a fan base, Cougar Nation, that is all over the world. BYU TV, our partnership with the Big 12, and all of our media partners literally give us a platform to bring Cougar Nation together across the planet. The key to everything is making sure you have the right coaches. You got to have the right coaches in the right seats. And we have some of the best coaches in all of sport at BYU, which we're super grateful for. They continue to choose BYU. It's a two-way street, and we're super fortunate to have a history of greatness. And we really feel humbled to stand on the shoulders of some of the greatest administrators, coaches, and players that have ever played the game. We could start throwing out names in every sport, but certainly it starts in football. You've got Hall of Famers across the board. Our basketball team's got Hall of Famers, some of the greatest players. But one of the things that is powerful for BYU as we elevate the brand is those athletes and coaches that have been a part of BYU are still a major part of our network. They're down on the field. They're on the court. They come back. They're very supportive of our players, and it kind of creates this network and a family of greatness that we're going to try to continue to carry on. And so, as we look to elevate our brand, I think any of you that have experienced sports at BYU, you come to LaVell Edwards Stadium, you're going to have one of the great fan experiences that you'll have in any arena, stadium in the country. You come to the Marriott Center, the fan experience off the chart. We've got great people leading out in BYU athletics, and we're super fortunate to do it in a way that really elevates the brand. And then it comes back to these student athletes. I mean, look, we've got Bear Bachmeyer. There's a bear on the loose in Provo. He came in and in a lot of ways captivated college football last year as a true freshman. Nobody saw that coming in that situation. And AJ DeBonsa coming in, being the Big 12 athlete of the year. We're super excited about that. But as the number one pick in the NBA draft that brought hundreds of millions of viewers through our our channels at BYU with the attention that came, and then to have AJ and Richie Saunders go in the draft was a huge thing for BYU. And so you got Jane Hendrickson, one of the great runners in the world, future Olympian, Kihei Akina, I believe he was the freshman of the year across the country in men's golf. These are all freshmen coming to BYU. So we're super grateful to have kind of a broad-based path to promote the brand of BYU. But make no mistake about it, guys. BYU's brand is elevated in large part because of our entrance into the Big 12. And we're super grateful for that partnership.
Yeah, and the Big 12 as well. So how close was Kalani to leaving? We've read a lot about the rumors this offseason.
Well, at the end of the day, certainly when you're as good as Kalani is as a football coach and as a human being, you're going to have schools coming after you. And at the end of the day, I'm super grateful that he chose BYU. He's got a history at BYU as a player. He certainly has continued to elevate this program to national levels. Really, the last couple of years, it's been phenomenal. And we're just so grateful that he chose BYU. That's a huge thing for somebody that's been at BYU, that loves BYU, to choose BYU when you have a program like Penn State. And there certainly have been others through the years. That's not the first time he's been sought after. But at the end of the day, he chose BYU. He chose these players. And we're super excited about the prospects for our team this year.
Brian Santiago, the athletic director at BYU, thank you so much for visiting with us this morning. Great stuff, and we appreciate you. Take care.
Yeah, you guys have a great day. Thanks for all you do to promote all of our schools and the Big 12. Keep smiling, keep believing. Let's go.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian Santiago does a fantastic job as athletic director of BYU, joining us here on Big 12 Radio to start the show. And away we go. James, how about that? Great stuff from Brian Santiago. Got to talk with him about the Entrada jersey patch for football, the Monster Energy patch and deal and what that means. And there was a lot that he brought up in reference to that. Plus, just how close was BYU to losing Kalani Sitake. We'll recap what we just heard there from the athletic director. Plus, I think there's some things to clear up when it comes to the Monster deal that I seem to be getting lost in. That seems to be getting lost in on social media. All that on the way next with James Amari. We are off and running on a Wednesday. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. With James Westling, I am Ari Temkin. Reacting to what we just heard from the BYU Athletic Director, Brian Santiago, as they're getting ready to start a very highly anticipated football season, maybe the most highly anticipated in the history of that program, which says a lot because it's had legends, Hall of Famers, Heisman Trophy winners, etc. What stood out to you about what we just heard from Brian?
Yeah, I think just the growth that we see from BYU as a brand, that Y logo that you see plastered everywhere in the royal blue colors. And Notre Dame doesn't agree to play BYU. Notre Dame did not back into that game. They see tremendous value there. So that tells me where BYU is at in terms of how they're viewed as a program and a brand nationally. And football is going to be huge for them. I believe that they're going to be positioned preseason that if they have a year similar to what they've had the last two, they probably get in the college football playoff because their strength of schedule is going to be so much higher than it has been in recent years. But a lot to unpack from Brian, just a lot of really exciting things, and I love the way that they've struck these jersey patch deals and broken them down into sectors. You have a football deal. You have an Olympic sports deal. Next up, which they're in the final negotiation stages for men's and women's basketball. So 3 different buckets that they can generate additional revenue. I think it's super creative.
Well, and to me, in many ways, this is really important because, yesterday as news around Ohio State and Notre Dame's jersey patch started to circulate, you've got Ohio State getting $17 million. You've got Notre Dame getting 18 or 19 million, somewhere there. And so I the immediate reaction, and I saw this on social, was to just compare it with the Monster deal, and that is not the right comparison. I mean, I saw this overwhelmingly across social media, like a 1-to-1 comparison. And first of all, like, this is Ohio State and Notre Dame we're talking about here. Like, are we under any is anybody under any idea here that like Ohio State and Notre Dame are going to command the same amount of dollars as like Cincinnati and UCF and Houston and the rest of the Big 12?
Right.
That's first off, okay? It's also not a dollars-to-dollars correct comparison because the deal is far broader than the patch. There's 3 components. There's the patch and field court logos, which, by the way, Monster is paying for. That's a substantial burden. And then, as we've discussed, a requirement in this deal for Monster is to include Big 12 assets in its marketing across more than 100 countries. So you've got found money, right? Money that it's just one part of the patch, but like as Kansas and BYU and many others will show, they also have an additional patch, so it's found money in that way. And then this is only from a Big 12 perspective for football and men's basketball. There still is a jersey patch league-wide option available for Olympic sports. It only covers regular season football and basketball, so it does not cover postseason. There's more inventory left to sell. And, like, ultimately what we just heard from Brian Santiago, I mean, he was glowing about the deal and about Brett Yormark, and he mentioned what he said was, basically that this is more long-term thinking. He mentioned what he loves about Brett Yormark is that he's always thinking about the long game. And so ultimately, to me, what that says is this deal a part of something larger coming down the line, 1, or 2, another deal with Redbird Capital, with a group that advises and works with Monster and Redbird Capital as they work towards a potential long-term television deal. I think every deal that they do under the auspices of Redbird is a good business dealing insofar as the long-term play is to get them involved with their TNT Paramount deal with the Big 12. TNT is already into the Big 12. TNT wants to have it exclusive in the same way that the SEC does with ESPN or that Fox does with the Big 10, then TNT could be that player, and this could be another brick in that wall.
And they've already been a tremendous partner for the Big 12, just from a fan, behind-the-scenes engagement piece of this whole thing. And I think the points you just outlined are super important about the deal at a glance, because leaving the door open for additional sponsorships when it comes to other sports, when it comes to the postseason, when it comes to the capital and the cash that Monster supplied to actually install the logos and the patches. The Big 12 didn't have to do any of that. But then also, this is, in terms of sponsorship opportunities for the conference, I see this as the floor. And I think the general perception or narrative is that this is the ceiling for the Big 12 and that, the Big 12
Great
could only
point.
get $20 million from Monster Energy. This is the entry point. This is the floor for the future. You look at some of Monster Energy's deals with other partners. Now, the NASCAR deal ramped up starting in 2019, and then it kind of fizzled out. They have a new partner. But where they really impacted a sport is UFC fighting. They are the premier #1 sponsor of the UFC. That partnership dates back to the 2015 and has grown astronomically on both sides. So, to me,
Do you know from a monetary standpoint the growth of that deal? Because that's a great point, and that could also be what Brian Santiago is referring to in terms of the long play. You wet their beak with this, you get a deal in the back end that helps you from a media and visibility standpoint, and then you grow the pie over the course of multiple years.
So both things grew over the life of that deal with the UFC. UFC's sponsorship dollars grew, and then what Monster actually brought to the table for UFC also grew. So they nabbed Monster Energy as a partner, and it led to 9-figure deals with Crypto.com, Anheuser-Busch, among other sponsorships and partnerships. And then UFC's overall partnership revenue went from $63 million to $74 million in one single year-over-year quarter. So that's just a sample of what could be to come. And also, this is a multi-year agreement. This is a multi-year partnership. And the only publicly shared information of that agreement is this year one $20 or $21 million, whatever it is. So there could be certain benchmarks that if the Big 12 hits, it grows to this number. I think it's very much this is the worst we can do, and this sets us up to do much, much more in the future.
Well, and I think it also was partner exclusive insofar as Monster as the brand makes sense because of Monster's visibility, because of Monster's IP, and again, because Monster is now investing by featuring the Big 12 in marketing in over 100 countries. So, and ultimately, we continue to say the same thing, and it's up to you to whether you're going to listen and apply it. But the Big 12 needs to not only find new revenue streams, they need to find new revenue streams that the SEC and the Big 10 won't touch, right? Because as you're seeing, Ohio State wants a jersey patch; they're going to get $17 million a year for that, right? So anytime you find a revenue stream that they're going to duplicate, you're in a bad spot because you're only growing the revenue discrepancy when you're doing that, because they're going to do the same thing and get more money for it. So, again, very important to note on this deal that, that this thing, I mean, it's huge for the conference from that standpoint of this is a deal that the SEC and the Big Ten won't touch. This is the first time any conference since the NCAA's allowed jersey patches are doing a conference-wide deal. So far, the SEC and the Big Ten won't do that. Ultimately, they might, and they could use the structure of this deal in order to do it, but this is where Brett Yormark's thinking is. He has to find and exploit revenue streams that the other conferences won't touch.
And it doesn't prevent Big 12 schools from signing their own jersey patch deals, which we've seen just in the last 2 weeks with Oklahoma State and Kansas and BYU and among other schools in this conference. I believe by the start of the 2027 college football season, every school in the Big 12 will have a jersey patch on their football uniforms paired with the Monster Energy patch, which again, the Big 12 doesn't have to pay for. Monster Energy pays for that. And just to add a little more context to the UFC question that you had for me, so this is what I see happening in the future. What happens when other large brands, partners, see the return that Monster Energy is getting from the growth of the Big 12? Well, with the UFC and their growth, so Celsius energy drinks came to the table, wanted that spot for UFC. What that did is it ratcheted up the renewal for Monster Energy. It was a leverage play. And I see that as a major, major bonus for the Big 12, long-term big picture.
It's Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. I also wanted to hit on this because we didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday, but Melvin Council, who had a fantastic year for Kansas last year, is appealing in a Douglas County court for another year of eligibility. Shocking, I know. He's trying to get an injunction here in order to play an additional season, which would be a 6th college basketball season for him. So just some details here. Melvin Council has played 5 seasons, 2 of them at Monroe College JUCO, and that's why he's saying that he should be eligible for this season. He played his junior season at Wagner and then played his senior season at St. Bonaventure before taking off for a 5th year at Kansas. Now, the 5th year at Kansas was only possible because of what he's doing now. So he already got this to play the 5th year at Kansas. Now he's looking to say, like, well, I played 2 years of JUCO, and that's basically what his argument is I'm not getting the same. Playing 2 years at JUCO does not allow me for the same opportunities to make money and to be featured in this capacity. He is going to be 25 when the season starts.
25?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, his birthday is April 23rd, 2002. So if he played this year in April of 2027, which would be in the middle of the season, he would be 25. So he'd be 24 when the season starts and 25 by the end of the season. Melvin Council is arguing in court, or his lawyer is, that JUCO is not a quote-unquote comparable alternative in terms of exposure or compensation, and unlike most plaintiffs, he can argue his path wasn't freely chosen. If any waiver case deserved individualized review rather than a formal denial, it's this one, and the allegation of blanket staff-level denials is the strongest part of his complaint. Basically, he's got a very interesting complaint. We'll see. These have kind of gone either way in multiple courts, so it's really worth tracking. It's hard to tell which way this one will go, but it kind of seems, quite frankly, even though it benefits me and my team, egregious for him to play this upcoming season.
I feel the same way. And this would be a huge win for Kansas because he would help their roster in a big way. All of a sudden, that ESPN preseason way too early that has Kansas at like number 23, this vaults them probably into the top 15, maybe the top 10. I mean, this is an all Big 12 caliber guard. Even though he struggled to close out the season, Kansas wouldn't have been a top 4 seed without him. With that said, the NCAA, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they just pass a very hard eligibility rule with athletes, the 5-for-5 rule? So they've already, the NCAA, kind of doubled down on trying to avoid things like this with that new eligibility clock. And the JUCO, do those years count? Like, that has been an ongoing discussion for several years now, and so far there hasn't been a change to that system where the junior college years still count against your eligibility clock. And even with the new ruling, the only season that doesn't count would be a prep school year or a postgraduate year. That doesn't start your NCAA clock. But nothing yet when it comes to junior college. So his case that, hey, I had to go to a junior college because I made a bad choice off the court, I don't think that holds up.
I don't believe – it's interesting. I think we're right at the cusp of the start of that rule, so I wonder if this flies in that face. It'll be interesting to see from a legal perspective, again, how they deal with that, the 5-for-5 rule. But
yeah, the deadline for players to apply for waivers
the end
is
of this month, right?
2 days from now.
Yeah.
The end of this month on the 31st.
Basically, officially the 5-for-5 takes over August 1st. Mm-hmm. It's Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. All right, on the way next, Bill Connolly has his ifs list for national championship contenders, which includes 2 Big 12 teams via Bill Connolly. We'll dive into the ifs list for Big 12 title contenders, plus what looks to be, as of now, the most important conference game every week of the 2026 football season. We dive into Big 12 Reddit. That's all coming up on the way. This is Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.
Touchdown passes of 41 yards and 39 yards, respectively. This is Emmanuel Henderson, who had a 42-yard kickoff return in the first half. And the same, he pulls through, and he's off to the
fancy coming up. Watch this little cut that he makes right here. Right there. Guys had an opportunity to get him, and then, like he's a sprinter at the World Championship, showing him the tail line. Look at him stretch it out. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. You finish through the tape, man. You got to get that lean at the tape. Henderson electrifies this crowd here in Lawrence. And watch this. The form dip. Get that chest to break the tape at the goal line.
Stride here at all. And just unfortunately, Tatum Barnes' feet get tangled up right there really awkwardly. Made him touch grass. I think the off-frame throw. Daniels looking Henderson's way, and he's going to take a shot for him. He had shot it. He's there. Caught. And into the end zone touchdown. They got Lampley a little spun around.
This little play action. Good job up front. Good protection.
Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios. Don't forget, we've got our daily power hours. The madness never stops here on Big 12 Radio. If you are checking us out on TuneIn, thanks for doing that. If not, make sure to download the TuneIn app, search Big 12. There you can find plenty of great music channels and talk and all different formats in multiple languages, plus, of course, Big 12 Radio, which you get Big 12 today, 7 to 10 a.m., and then the show replays. And then after that, we get Power Hours, including today's, which has our interviews with Rich Rodriguez, Sonny Dykes, Colin Klein, Avery Johnson, and Joe Jackson from Media Day starting at 1 o'clock Central today. Then at 2 o'clock, it's Brett Brennan, Jaden Bray, and Nick Cray. And then and then 3 o'clock, it is Jamel Johnson, Paul Oyewale, Jalen Rayner, Isaac Terrell, Cam Pickett, and Trey Lathan. So the madness never stops here. It's just continual with all of our great interviews from Media Days. Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. All right, the IFs list. Bill Connolly, who does fantastic work for ESPN, the author of SP+, has the IFs list, how title contenders can come together. So basically, like, taking all of the title contenders, in which he classifies by anybody with better odds than plus 5,000. That's the cutoff. So there's 18 teams that would qualify for this, including 2 in the Big 12, Texas Tech and BYU. Now, it's interesting because Bill C. in his piece before this had Houston as a top 15 team and a national championship contender by his own admission. However, Houston is not plus 5,000 in the criteria, so they didn't make this list. I thought what we could do is react to Bill's list with the IFs list for Texas Tech and BYU, and then come up with our own IFs list for Big 12 title contenders. The things that need to come true for that team to win a national championship, or in other cases to win a Big 12 championship.
And I would love to know why Houston dropped out, because they haven't had any major injuries.
It's the plus 5,000 thing. Their odds are longer than that.
So the cutoff was 5,000.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that makes sense then.
So odds makers and Bill Connolly disagree, basically.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to Texas Tech, who he has as his front runner, right? He notes 3 things. If Texas Tech has a quarterback, if Texas Tech has a receiving core that the portal delivered, to use his words, and then defensively, if the new front 6 lives up to the hype. I would say it's not just 6 that they've brought in when it comes to the defensive line. They've brought in like 8 guys that are all Big 12 caliber type players, and maybe the best of the bunch is a returner in A.J. Holmes, who could have been probably a top 2 or 3 round NFL draft pick. The receiving core is the one thing that I think, and I'm really glad he identified that group, because I think it's very much being overlooked. Last season, say what you will about Baron Morton at quarterback, I felt like they were lacking a playmaking wide receiver. Caleb Douglas was serviceable. Coy Aiken was a really good slot guy. Reggie Virgil was an all Big 12 type guy. But they didn't have like that, okay, it's 3rd and 6. Who's the guy, who's the T-Mac that you're going to rely on? Who's your Jordan Tyson that you're going to rely on?
Who's your X? Who's your legit number 1? That's a great point.
And now they have a bunch of guys that I believe are candidates. Kenny Johnson at Pitt almost had 1,000 yards in a very modest offensive system. Dante Lee Jr. from Liberty led the nation in yards per catch. And then Malcolm Simmons was arguably the best receiver at Auburn last year, even better when it came to production than Cam Coleman, who was the number 1 portal receiver according to all the publications, and signed with Texas. And then they signed a really dynamic FCS guy in Jalen Jones. And Coy Aiken and Terrence Carter are coming back. So, like, I see that room as way more explosive, which pairs nicely with Will Hammond at quarterback, which is the next point that he touches on.
Yeah, and I mean, on the receiver piece, they have what seems to be more depth there. I mean, not to mention not just the guys they brought in, but Micah Hudson. We've heard a lot about him this offseason. Is he a guy that can emerge this year? But ultimately, it goes for naught if not one of those guys emerges, right? I mean, if they're just all good pieces, they're all complementary. Like, there is very much a domino effect when it comes to receiving core, where if you have like a legit number 1 and then a legit number 2 that slots in, then the impact that has across the board with 3, 4, 5, 6, right? I mean, it's tremendous, because game plan wise, teams turn on the tape defensively and then have to account for, hey, we got to bring some safety help, shade some safety help over here, which opens up an opportunity for your number 2. Well, if they want to account for him, like, there's just a huge domino impact that has. So I think it's a great point, not just from Bill Connolly, but from your vantage point, to say they need one of those guys to emerge to be a legitimate number 1 wideout, to be the guy that causes all the attention and the domino effect that would have across the board.
And my number 1 candidate for that guy is Micah Hudson. Thank you for the reminder. He was the guy that was catching touchdowns in their spring game from Brendan Sorsby. he was the guy that late in the year when they were beating teams by 20 and 30, he'd get in the game and he'd catch a couple of touchdowns like he did against West Virginia. If he had transferred this offseason somewhere else, SEC or Big Ten, he would be a headliner coming into this year. He was the number 1 wide receiver in his recruiting class 2 years ago. A 5-star, top 5 recruit, any position. And he got buried on the depth chart. Well, everything that we've heard from Joey McGuire and everything we've read is that he's got himself right when it comes to his headspace, when it comes to the work ethic that is required. I see him as their number 1 wide receiver, and then probably Kenny Johnson, and then I would put Coy Aiken in the slot, and all of a sudden that's one of the best receiving rooms in the country.
Yeah, no, totally agree. The other thing is, you mentioned that Connolly brings up the defensive line, and I think it's worth mentioning for sure, but I would prioritize the offensive line in a higher way because Texas Tech's defense was dominant last year, and yet they still didn't score and lost in the quarterfinals. So if Texas Tech is to compete for a national championship this year, their offense has to be better. And I would attribute some of their failures on offense, especially in that Oregon game, to their offensive line. So if their offensive line is as good as advertised, then this team has a chance to win a national championship. More so than the defensive line, because even though the defensive line was dominant last year, they couldn't score. 0 points in the Orange Bowl. They were blitzed by Oregon. They couldn't pick it up. Baron Morton's a statue. It's a problem.
I think you're spot on, because this conversation isn't Big 12 title contenders. It's national championship title contenders. And if you're going to win games in the college football playoff, the most undervalued, overlooked aspect of Indiana football last year was just how dominant they were at the line of scrimmage and their offensive line. And they didn't have any first-round NFL draft picks from that O-line. They were just absolutely rock solid. They had big bruising running backs, which is a lot of parallels that I see with Texas Tech's running back room. So Jordan Church is the headlining transfer that they brought in, the kid from Louisville. But will we see an uptick from Howard Sampson, the offensive tackle, who led, and this is 2 years in a row, he's had major pre-snap penalty issues. When he's not getting penalized, he's an elite blocker.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that should be a first-round pick that did not play enough like it last year, and it's why he's back. And full stop. He would have been the 10th draft pick if things went the way that they were supposed to go with Howard Sampson.
Mm-hmm. But I'm excited to see what the guys that are retention pieces, because their other 4 projected offensive linemen are guys that played a lot last year. Hunter Zambrano was mostly in a backup role, but he was capable. Sheridan Wilson is an All-American center. That's a great anchor to have over the nose of the football. And then Jacob Ponton is their right tackle that they've been raving about since he was like 16 years old, because he's a massive human. He's like 6'8", 310 pounds. He can move. So just one more year of development with that offensive line, I do think it'll be strong enough to compete at a national level.
Yeah. All right, for BYU, the ifs list, if new pass catchers emerge, so similar to Texas Tech, although I would say this is probably a bigger deal for BYU than it is for Tech, and it's a big deal for Tech. But I think there are a lot more options that I'm optimistic about with Texas Tech's side in terms of the receiver position than I am with BYU. I mean, Kyle Casper is the name we've heard a lot about. He's a former blue chip, but hasn't done much in a couple of seasons at Oregon. It's the reason he transferred out. Walker Lyons at tight end, but you probably are going to need some receivers to emerge and not just count on your 2 tight ends and Salapiaga and Lyons. But I agree with this one. I would say this is front and center. If BYU is to win a national championship, it's going to be about the receiving core being something totally different than we expect it to be.
And for that to happen, bigger plays have to show up and will show up. The dynamic with BYU this year, what's interesting to me is last year you had these veteran wide receivers and Parker Kingston and Chase Roberts, who had been there forever, that were kind of bringing along their true freshman quarterback in Bear Bachmeier. Now that is completely flipped. Now Bear Bachmeier, who's only a sophomore and like 19 years old, he's now the veteran in that locker room with L.J. Martin, his running back. But in terms of route running, timing, he's the guy that is now teaching those lesser experienced wide receivers in Casper from Oregon. JoJo Phillips had 14 catches last year before he got hurt. He's the name I keep hearing. He's like 6'3", has a really nice 40 time in terms of probably breakout potential. But can BYU look differently than they looked last year, where like on paper, offensively, they scored points. They scored over 30 points per game. They were very efficient, but they just didn't have that extra element of explosiveness that they'd have to make a deep run.
I think that's it. When you look at the BYU offensive numbers, I don't think there's anything that stands out that's like, oh, yeah, they were bad last year. But you're right. Like, most of it was dink and dunk. And look, it makes sense given the situation with your quarterback last year. Like, no problems with it. This year it needs to evolve and be something bigger. BYU was 29th in success rate. Success rate, if you don't know, is basically like not like given a certain down. Like, are you getting 4 yards on first down? Or are you getting 6 yards on first down? The difference between an unsuccessful play and a successful play, right? Are you getting on 2nd and 4? Are you getting the first down? That's a successful play. So sometimes yards per play doesn't account for like on 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 3 I only want 4 yards. So normally that would not be a successful play. In this case, though, it is. So success rate's an important metric to look at. And then the other one is 104th in yards per successful play. Again, dink and dunk, not a big play offense. They need to be able to do that a bunch more this year. And then, if Kelly Papinga can fill the shoes of Jay Hill, I think we all expect him to. I think this is a program built to sustain the losses of coaches and coordinators, but it's also worth noting that when BYU joined the Big 12, their defense was not very good. In fact, it was downright bad, and they brought in Jay Hill in order to fix it. So it's a question.
And how much of the way Kelly Papinga operates is from what he learned under Jay Hill, because that was Jay Hill's thing. Everywhere he's coached, he's turned around defenses. At lower levels like Weber State, who he turned into an elite FCS program defensively, did the same thing at BYU. But I will say, like with BYU and the guys they have coming back, Texas Tech and the guys they've brought in, I don't really have a ton of like things that concern me or question marks about these teams defensively. And maybe that's recency bias because they were both so good on that side of the ball last year and they both had room to grow offensively. So that's probably why we lean in to that narrative. But BYU last year and the success rate is a really great example of where they were lacking last season. Because you talk about a 2nd and 4 and you pick up 5 yards instead of 2nd and 4 and you pick up 8 to 11 yards. That was the difference with BYU last season. And then the lack of explosives on top of that. So for both of those teams, there's a lot of similarities. But I think defensively, both are going to be very capable of competing at a national championship type level.
All right, we'll have to do the Big 12 title ifs list coming up later on with James Westling. I'm Ari Tepkin. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. Our buddy Shreyas Laddha from the Kansas City Star joins us next. He wrote a great piece about Tyron Stokes. So from Darren Peterson to Tyron Stokes. Plus, we'll check in with Shreyas on the Melvin Council situation. That's all coming up next. This is Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios, along with James Wesley. I'm Ari Tepkin. Really excited to check in with our buddy Shreyas Laddha from the Kansas City Star, talk KU hoops and his piece on Tyron Stokes. So from Darren Peterson to Tyron Stokes, Shreyas.
It's we're getting that time, right? The hype is coming around about fall camp in football and excitement about basketball, but Stokes has been as advertised. I was told from a source. He's looked really really good, and he's been a model teammate apparently. Like he's going to ask coaches questions. It seems like he hasn't really had any issues. Twitter video about shooting fireworks with sexy red aside, but at least on the side of with anything with KU related, I think he's been a model citizen. It was the word I was given, or words I was given from a source. But excitement, I think he's going to be pretty good this upcoming year, and I think there's a lot of hope that he can do a lot of what Kansas fans hope to see from Darren this past season, but didn't because of all the injury issues.
Shreyas, I need some help to identify if I got on the internet. Was Tyron Stokes wearing jeans during like an off-season conditioning workout session with the team, or was that some AI-generated image from probably a K-State fan?
That's a really good question. So he was wearing sweatpants. They just kind of look like jeans. Because I had to ask
They're
a
sweat
source
jeans.
about that. Yes, yeah. Because it turns out a few other people if you go back and look at the photos, I think there's another person or two that's wearing a similar level of a similar pants or whatever, and I had to ask somebody, he's like, are those jeans or are those actual sweatpants? I can't believe we're in the level in the year of 2026, and I'm trying to figure out if these guys are running in jeans or sweatpants, but that's where we're at with AI these days, I guess. So yeah, I always have to make sure, but from what I was told, it seems like he was in sweatpants. I don't know why he was in sweatpants in 100-degree weather or the high 90s or whatever it was then, but still, he was not wearing jeans. It would have been very funny if he was wearing jeans, though. I think it would have been a interesting start to the Tyron Stokes tenure in Lawrence.
Yeah, no kidding. You mentioned that so far he's been as good as advertised, great teammate. Like any examples or specifics on the teammate side of things?
Yeah, I've heard he's his leadership has been pretty good. He's willing to listen to the coaches and coaching staff. I think there's some level of he's going to coaches and trying to figure out what he can do better, what he can improve upon. He's putting in a lot of extra work. I think the athleticism is something that's translated game wise that they've been like, whoa, he looks really really good on that end. And I mentioned to you before, I was there were people in the NBA world who thought if he went to the NBA draft right now, he'd be 4th or 5th drafted in this past year's draft. So in a draft class as stacked as this, that's pretty awesome. But also, this year, there's a lot of projecting he could be the number one guy, and I think he understands that. And I think he understands kind of what the connotation of Tyron Stokes has been coming into college ball, and it feels like he's trying to make sure people realize that's not necessarily true. If it keeps up, if it doesn't keep up, we'll see. But at least so far, I think everything has been pretty great with Tyron in Lawrence. What is
the NBA comp for Tyron Stokes, and does he play defense?
That's a great question. He does play defense. He's really hyper athletic. I had an NBA scout mention shades of Cade Cunningham, which I kind of see. He's a pretty good playmaker. He's got a great body for a kid that young. I say kid like I'm not only 10 years older than him, but it's fine. But I think he's one of those guys that maybe is a little more streaky of a shooter. That's something he's working on. I think he can get on fire at times, but he's not going to be like Darren Peterson in that sense. I guess a decent comp is probably somebody like Cade Cunningham, Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, Tyrese is a better shooter, obviously, but the athleticism thing that really jumps off the page with Tyron. I think he can get to the rim at will. Candidly, I don't think he's going to miss a ton of games, even if he's dealing with injury issues. His mentality is just a little different than Darren, I think, in some sense, because he's just a little more swaggerful on the court, is what I'd say. He likes to trash talk. He likes to go out there and have fun and stuff like that. So that can be good and bad. But um, I think the comp I like is shades of Cade Cunningham, shades of Tyrese Halliburton, a little Devin Booker in the sense of his ability to score the ball from all three levels. But he's just not as good of a shooter as Booker is. But I mean, I think he's going to be a special player, especially in college ball. I think he's going to be really, really good.
On the Melvin Council side of things, we talked a little bit about the situation, but Melvin played 2 years at JUCO. He already kind of received a court order to allow him to play last year, right? Is that how he got to play? So is he double dipping here in the same vein?
I think he was able to play last year just because he had he had one more year of eligibility left,
Got it.
I believe. I mean, with the 5-year rule, I think he's trying to basically see if he can get an extra year because he had to play 2 years because of the sexual assault, like rape allegation he received in high school that was sealed, and I think thrown out, I believe. The interesting thing about the Melvin Council thing is I was told like back in May before the 5-year rule became official that him and his camp in KU were trying a lot of different things to try and figure out if they could get him for another year. But unfortunately for Kansas, I think a lot of that point, like 5th-year waivers or like similar, were being denied in a pretty increasingly high level. So he focused his, time on getting ready for the NBA. Obviously, we saw him play in summer league. He averaged like 8 points and 3 rebounds over 3 games. But I think that 5-year rule, that clock, the fact that old rules apply, I think there's maybe some hope that they can figure it out. But I mean, we've seen it, guys. Like, it feels like everyone is just suing the NCAA to play an extra year of college basketball. It feels like Kansas feels there's a decent shot at it because, I mean, Bill Self issued a statement where basically, like, we're sitting by and watching the process and this and that. So I guess, they've probably been in touch with Kansas camp a decent amount. And I can tell you this much. I know KU definitely wanted him back if they could make it happen. So if he is cleared and eligible to go, I'm curious to see if that changes up the projected starting lineup or how they'd use him and all that.
Does KU have a spot for him? I know KU just signed an international prospect, and I'm assuming they do.
Speaking of 24-year-olds.
So how many spots do they have left?
Well, so the thing is, technically, even with the international prospect, they have one more. But the international prospect, he also has to figure out if he's eligible with this new rule. So, like they haven't, like, that's why if the people who are reporting that he's signed are recruiting sites, like, everyone I talk to is basically telling me it's not official or they won't even get back to me about it. Like, people that I talk to for a lot of sourcing things, like, they're keeping it very hush-hush. So, like, he technically played professional ball, and he is like 24 or something. So he would not have been eligible with the new rules. But the NCAA is allowing the old rules to be in place for one more year for anybody coming into this season. So based on his professional money making in Europe and how many years he played, the NCAA would determine if he's eligible or not to play for Kansas this upcoming year. But whether he comes or he doesn't come, if he doesn't come, they'll have 2 roster spots. So obviously, Melvin Council's around. If he does come, he'll fit into the last roster spot.
I want to ask you a little bit about KU football. I'm pretty down on them. It seems like a lot of people are. We picked them 14th out of 16 in our consensus. You see them? Where do you see them finishing in the Big 12?
Bottom half of the conference.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're going to be that 10 to 16 range. Look. There are people within the program that think Andy Kotelnicki is going to make lemonade out of the lemons from quarterback. And I think he's going to make them look better than they are. But my question is, looking at the schedule KU has, where are 6 wins coming from where they get to a bowl game? And if you're saying, okay, they're going to win more one-score games, well, then that's something historically Lance Leipold has struggled at, especially the last 2 years. I think he's like 1-10 or 1-9 in one-score games. There is a belief within the coaching staff that the 2 running backs they have is going to be a top 5 duo, like, all Big 12 level backs in Yassin Willis and Dylan Edwards, which I can buy. Like, I believe they'll be pretty good, especially if they're healthy. I think their defense will be improved. I mean, hopefully after a pretty bad year in the first year of the DK McDonald system, but they've added some great transfers. They've gotten bigger and stronger. if that translates on the field, we'll see how much of improvement. That's another thing. But look, I was doing my game by game picks, and I'm halfway through it right now. I have them at 2-4, like currently. So like the wins I have are the two gimme games, and then UCF, and then maybe Baylor, just because Baylor isn't that good this year, and they're playing them at home. They have to beat that streak, and then maybe another random. Oh, they beat Oklahoma State because maybe they're not as good as they should have been, or they pull off an upset against Missouri or K-State. But, like, it's like I feel like I'm stretching to get to 6 wins. Like, I need to see quarterback play that's competent, because right now Cole Ballard is in battle. It has this straight edge for the job. I was told, actually, funny enough, I think Andy Kotelnicki really likes Cole Ballard. So both quarterbacks are going to play, which makes me think they're going to try a lot of different things. I had one of my bold predictions actually is I think there's going to be times where we see Isaiah Marshall start. I don't know if that's a hot take, but depending on opponent, and especially depending on how Cole Ballard plays throughout the season, which I think it's going to be a little bumpy with him or Marshall back there, I bet they try some zany things at quarterback or something like that. So, look, I think it's going to be an interesting year. It's really hard to predict them because they have so many new transfers and new faces, 30 of them coming into this team. But, like, I think the floor is 3 or 4, and the ceiling is probably 6 or 7 wins.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Shreyas, I'd like to help you with something that has helped me in my life tremendously. At Target, for less than $3, you can get a 60 count of pre-moistened lens wipes.
Oh.
So the next time you call us, it won't look like you're calling us from inside of a humidifier.
My fault. I didn't even realize. Sorry, guys.
Well, you look fine, but yes, you are surrounded in what appears to be a level of haze.
You look like you're.
I did that on purpose. I think it's a zoom effect. That's a zoom effect.
Yeah, you look like you're trapped inside of a snow globe.
Yeah, it's because the place behind me is a mess, guys. I'm moving, which we've talked about. But yes, I don't even have a desk anymore. I was telling David, it's like I'm on my couch, and I have the laptop propped up on a coffee table. And hopefully this is the last day or two that I have the couch and the coffee table. And at a point, then the only furniture I'll have in my house is my mattress.
Oh, that's amazing. So, well, best of luck with that, man. It's a process, and it gets me all the time. I'm constantly cleaning my lens. It's a mess. So I'm right there with you, which is why I felt qualified to give you a hard time.
No, I appreciate it, but I do think it's a zoom effect, or maybe it's not, because I did blur it behind me.
That's exactly what it is.
Full blur.
Yeah, what are you hard blur? You're giving our guy a hard time for? I know you're a K-State guy, but come on. Shreyas, do you miss Darren? Do you and Darren Peterson still talk?
Yeah, Jamin will randomly he'll fire off a text to Darren Peterson's dad from time to time.
You know, I was in contact with them this past week about the job. I'll be right closer to him now, so that should be fun. I won't give it away, but I'll probably give it away by saying that. But look, we'll see. I can't wait to see if the Darren Peterson NBA experience coverage-wise will be different than the college basketball experience. And for my own sanity, I really hope so, because I'm hoping I'm not chasing down what's happening cramping wise behind the scenes and talking to like 15 different sources trying to find out what's going on. But yeah, I hope he misses me, because he's going to see me plenty this upcoming year.
I'll be like, this guy again. How? It's awesome.
Shreyas Latta, Kansas City Star. You're the best, Shreyas. Be well, man. Take care.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
All right, man.
You're the best. Shreyas Latta joining us here. Kansas City Star. Great piece on Tyron Stokes. Also the Melvin Council stuff. A lot going in Lawrence when it comes to basketball. All right. It's time to power rank. I am very excited for this power ranking. This could be the most highly anticipated power ranking of the year. We're going to be power ranking the top 5 Big 12 athletes, male or female, for the 2025-2026 year. And our random power ranking, I'm even more excited for. It's Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.
Glad to see your family as that ball is picked up on Clark. The captain at the back end plucks it away for TCU. get it to the 29. Third down. Lopez to the outside, and it's intercepted. And it's going to be a walk-in touchdown for the veteran Bud Clark. His 12th career pick. Robertson, pressure inside, and he's dropped. Bud Clark gets the sack. His first sack of the season. And it comes out to 20.4 miles per hour. Fourth fastest for a safety in the FBS.
But number 2's Logan got in the way. Douglas, he is hammered. Look at those guys in purple, all arriving in a bad humor.
Take a look here at Bud Clark come down and make this play. Now, he doesn't get him down initially. However, he stops the play from happening and the rest of his teammates can come and race to the tackle field.
Lopez gets hit, and that's a strike that he threw in there.
Quick pass. Gallagher in space. Wrapped up right there by Bud Clark, the elder statesman.
Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo. Heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. It's a Wednesday. What does that mean, James?
You know what they say about Wednesdays? We power rank.
That's right. What does that mean?
Because it's not good enough to just have things in life. You have to power rank them accordingly.
You can't just have things and have them exist in this world, just floating in the ether. You have to orderly rank them and figure out where they go and what's better and what's not. You know, on Wednesdays, we put our pants on one leg at a time, just like every other day. But once our pants are on, we power rank. Because it's a power ranking world. We're just a couple of power ranking fools. We will power rank anything and everything you throw at us. So today we've decided we always power rank something Big 12, then we power rank something random associated with the day. I cannot wait for the random power rank.
Today's a big day.
Today's a big day. You know, every Wednesday is a big day, but not like today.
Feels a little bigger.
Bigger. Top 5 Big 12 athletes for the 2025-2026 year. We've done male. We've done female. We've kind of danced around it for the spring or the fall or the blah, 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 blah. Now we're doing all 5. Top 5. That's it. Male, female, whatever. Fall, winter, spring, summer, fall. All you got to do is rank these 5. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
You're not ready. He's not ready.
I've never been more ready.
Okay, now he's ready. Let's go.
Number 5.
All right, this is where I slide in Oklahoma State freshman wrestler Jax Forrest, who's originally from North Carolina. His family actually relocated so that he could wrestle at a prestigious school in Pennsylvania. He was the number 2 overall recruit in 2026. He chose Oklahoma State over Penn State and Iowa and Ohio State. And speaking of Ohio State, Ohio State's Ben DeVino is who he took down at the national championships. Big 12 Freshman of the Year, most outstanding wrestler at the Big 12 championships. It is the freshman phenom, Jax Forrest.
Well, looky. Do we have a consensus? Jax Forrest, number 5. And look, there are plenty of athletes that could have gone in this spot. In fact, his teammate, Sergio Vega, also as a freshman, also as a national champion, also could have been number 5 of this list. But the reason I put Jax Forrest here is because of the degree of difficulty. He graduated early, decided, you know what, let me try my hand at this college wrestling thing. Pinned his first college opponent in 47 seconds after graduating early from high school. By late March, was an undefeated NCAA champion at 133 pounds. He was dominant and was expected to be dominant and was as dominant as he was expected to be because of how highly recruited he was. Jax Forrest at some point will be number 1 on this list in his career, but for now he's number 5.
Number 4.
All right, this is where I have Nyjah, the second most important person to ever be birthed in Topeka, Kansas. Second. Led Topeka High to back-to-back state titles. You know her story. Went to Stanford, transferred to Texas Tech, a program that had won less than half of their games all time prior to her arrival. Back-to-back national championship appearances, a national title contender, 2-time Big 12 Pitcher of the Year. Number 2 overall picked in the recently AUSL draft. Nyjah Kennedy, Texas Tech softball.
Some good ones from Topeka, by the way.
Who else?
Who's I'm going to put my foot in my mouth here for the Brown versus the Board of Education, the name of the little girl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I thought you were thinking of Gary Woodland.
Yeah, him too.
He's also from Topeka.
That one too. All right, number 4 for me is Harry Bonds. Landon Hairston from Arizona State baseball. All he did is put together the best pure individual season across the board for all 5 of our athletes here. Baseball America's College Player of the Year. He hit 400, not easy to do. He got on base 509, not easy to do, and he slugged 860. 860 slugging! That's total bases. 28 home runs is a program record, led all qualified Division I hitters in OPS, and drove in 81 runs batting leadoff, the most by any leadoff hitter in the country. Landon Hairston put together a historic season, and that's why Harry Bonds number 4 on my list.
Number 3.
This is where I have Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez.
Interesting. And
I slot him here because He was the first player in FBS Division I football in over 20 years to put up the stat line that he had. More than 5 forced fumbles, more than 2 fumble recoveries, more than 4 interceptions. Nobody had done that in the same season in 2 decades. So he truly had a historic season for Texas Tech football, who won their first Big 12 title, their first any league title in over 70 years. He, to me, was the face of last season and what Texas Tech did. And so Jacob Rodriguez slots in at number 3 on my list.
Spoiler alert, I do not have a football player in my top 5.
Okay.
Number 3 for me is the Big 12 Male Athlete of the Year, the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft, Darren Peter. No, I'm just kidding. AJ DeBonsa. Yeah, I mean, he led the nation in scoring at 25.5 points a game, 894 points, the third most by any freshman in Division I history. These are all things we've already said. I mean, he had 43 points against Utah, posted a triple-double. He basically did everything he could possibly do except perhaps success with his team. That's it. That's the only drawback to A.J. DeBonsa. There's no conference championship. There's no Big 12 Basketball Player of the Year. There was no making it out of the first round of the NCAA tournament. So I think aside from like the team dynamics, DeBonsa did probably about everything you could possibly do. And the reality is, Darren Peterson was number 1 pick all year. DeBonsa had to do what he did this season in order to get there, and that's what he did. He put together a magical season, which is why he's number 3 on my list.
Number 2.
Yeah, when I assembled my list, it was hard to look past, like, what did the team do? Number 2 for me is Olivia Miles, the TCU women's basketball player, because even though she was only there for 1 year, there's only a small handful of women's college basketball players that have had over 2,000 career points and 800 rebounds and 800 assists. And she was the first TCU woman to win the Big 12 Athlete of the Year. She also swept all the awards in women's college basketball. And then she was number 2 in the WNBA draft. And if you haven't checked in on her status, she is balling out in the WNBA. 20 points per game, 6 assists. She's an all-star. She is starting in the all-star game. So I've got Olivia Miles at number 2.
We have consensus at number 2. Olivia Miles also number 2. I would say this is the most complete season on the board here in terms of individual play and team success. 20 points a game, 7 rebounds, 6.6 assists, 1.8 steals, shot 49%. That is a line that no player in the history of the NCAA women's basketball has ever produced on a full season. Full stop. 6 triple-doubles, Big 12 record. 2 TCU single-season marks for points and assists, both hers now. Big 12 Player of the Year, Newcomer of the Year, consensus All-American. The first women's athlete to ever take home the Bowlesby Award and the Athlete of the Year in the same year. And then, of course, the outright Big 12 regular season title in Elite 8 appearance. So I'd just say overall, having team success as well as individual success, Olivia Miles.
Number 1.
Yeah, number 1 is where I have A.J. DeBonsa because he was simply unguardable.
You would.
This season.
Just defer to the Big 12. Whatever they say is what you say.
With BYU and all the injury issues that they had, right? Teams had one guy to key in on, one guy to shut down on a nightly basis, and they still couldn't do it. He shot over 50% from the floor. He shot a high clip from 3. He led the nation in scoring, over 25.5 points per game. When he's the one dude carrying that team, and again, it's hard to look past what the team did in terms of underachieving compared to preseason expectations. But he was the man. DeBonsa, number 1.
Yeah, number 1 is Nigel Kennedy. I'm not even sure it's close, quite honestly. And even though the season ended in quote-unquote disappointment relative to preseason expectations, they still made it to the final game, national championship, some incredible wins. But look, for Nyjah, it's more about the icon status part. The fact that she's changed the game, she's upped the ante. And not only that, but like the expectations because of the money and how public it was were so high, and yet she lived up to the expectations in back-to-back years. Redefining success at Texas Tech softball, an absolute icon of the sport that changed the game of softball in college. That's the reason she's number 1 on my list. Not just stats, the awards, but it's the things they'll be remembered for. And I don't know if there's anybody that'll be remembered larger than Nyjah Kennedy.
Yeah, the impact she had on the sport as a whole.
By the way, any honorable mentions?
Yes, was about to get to there. Thank you. So there's an athlete here that none of us have mentioned that probably needs to get mentioned, and that is the BYU cross-country star, Jana Hendegren. Henegren. And I mean, look, NCAA records in the indoor 5,000, the outdoor 5,000, and the 10,000, and she's a freshman. You think about some of the freshmen in this conference: Sergio Vega and Jax Forrest at Oklahoma State, Jane Hendegren at BYU. Not even mentioning AJ DeBonsa at BYU as well. Just some incredible freshman seasons. And so, I mean, I would say from a track and a cross-country standpoint, Hendegren stands out. And look, ultimately, I chose to omit her from my top 5 just based on the lack of, first of all, team sport, but then beyond that, I think just like there's probably a lot more acclaim and attention on some of the other sports, which is the reason that unfortunately I didn't have her on my top 5. But she's very deserving of it for sure, because she had a record year this year for BYU cross country and track and field.
Yeah, my shout out is Avery Neff, the gymnast for the Red Rocks in Utah. Finished at number 3 nationally, but to get there, she beat an Olympian, Jordan Childs, head-to-head at regionals. So she's got the I just beat an Olympian hook that the others don't.
I also think Preston Stout from Oklahoma State Golf won the national championship for Oklahoma State as an individual. And then Sergio Vega was the other one that I mentioned, the other freshman that won a national championship in wrestling for Oklahoma State. He's kind of forgotten because of Jax Forrest and what he did, but Vega's every bit there. Taman, how'd we do? We miss anybody?
I think you missed 2 guys. David Bailey, I mean, phenomenal year, went number 2 overall to the Jets. And Spencer Fano, I think number 9 overall to the Cleveland Browns. So those are my 2 that I had on there. I would also throw in Noah Fafita because we've also said that he is everything that we have ever wanted from a college athlete. Yeah.
Well, we're not just ranking the top 5 football players, Taman.
I just had to throw him out there. Special love, special love.
All right, today is International Tiger Day. So we figured, let's rank the top 5 tigers of all time. No criteria needed here, right? Let's go.
Number 5.
Number 5 for me is the tiger shark. Tiger sharks are nicknamed the garbage cans of the ocean because scientists have found everything from license plates to tires, clothing, even chicken coops in their stomachs. So tiger shark, basically the raccoons of the sea. Check it at number 5.
Number 5 for me is Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. Man, I wish I had that same attitude every single day, just bouncy and in a great mood. I mean, Tigger walks into a functioning ecosystem of anxiety, gloom, and mild existential dread and declared himself the only one. The wonderful thing about Tiggers is I'm the only one. It's confidence, it's bravado, it's Tigger. 80 years across film, books, television. Tigger, number 5.
Number 4.
It's a lifespan. Number 4 for me, I'm going with Tiger Bachmeier. Okay, teams up with his brother Bear at BYU. Listen, you can't be named Tiger and Bear and not be dominant in one aspect of your life.
Didn't even bring him up when we talked about the receiving core at BYU this year.
Imagine introducing yourself, hi, I'm Tiger, and then sucking at everything. It can't happen. It can't work. A family of Bear and Tiger, and Cougar is the youngest brother, Tiger Bachmeier.
I'm beginning to think you didn't take your list very seriously.
I took it very seriously.
Okay. Number 4 for me is Hobbs from Calvin and Hobbes, a philosopher, if there ever was one, in Tiger form. Bill Watterson, who I look up to because he basically became famous with Calvin and Hobbes and then decided to just walk away, and he's just like a random guy living in Ohio now. He did not take any of the commercial opportunities to monetize Calvin and Hobbes. You think about how many different, and I'm not going to disparage anybody that does, but it's just kind of crazy what Bill Watterson did. He had this incredible Calvin and Hobbes comic strip, and in the prime of his career just decided, I'm going to stop doing this, and then took no commercial opportunities. It's pretty remarkable. But Hobbes is one of the best characters of any comic book just because of what he means to Calvin and how he'll live forever through his philosophy. So Hobbes from Calvin and Hobbes, deep thinker.
Number 3.
I'm here for the deep thinkers. I was thinking deep on number 3, which for me are the Cincinnati Bengals. Because the Bengals are named after the Bengal tiger.
One of the worst franchises in the history of sports.
With an awesome uniform set, color combo, and logo. All right, Paul Brown initially chose the name, because Cincinnati had a previous football team like back in the 30s that were called the Bengals. He's like, let's just bring them back when the Bengals became a thing. They have one of the coolest helmets in sports with the tiger stripes. That's confidence. And somehow they pretty much don't have an actual logo. It's just the stripes. With the
you're right. You're right. I will say, even though that's a horrible pick, at least, like, there are 3 tigers in the SEC. You know what I mean? Like, at least they're a specific tiger, which makes them unique.
Exactly. They're not just the Tigers. They're not the Cincinnati Tigers. That's boring.
All right, for my top 5 tigers, number 3, you've got to have this one on your list. I'm sure you don't, but you missed big by not having Eye of the Tiger. Nice. An all-time anthem. Are you kidding me? You can't tell me that 4 decades of hearing the beginning of this song doesn't get you fired up. Like, I know it's overplayed, but it's overplayed for a reason. It's the Eye of the Tiger. So, yeah, I'm not going to sing much longer, but
it reigns supreme at Bill Snyder Family Stadium.
I mean, it's a classic. It's an anthem. It's an all
And for the governor of Oklahoma. And then the Tiger King documentary series blew up during the COVID pandemic. Only watch season 1. The rest is garbage. But he is proof that a Florida man can exist in the great state of Oklahoma.
Well, I know we're going to have the same number 1, but let me just tell you, your list is crap.
I knew there would be some discrepancies. 2 through 5, which is what we rolled with.
Number 2 is
how many people in this room actually watched the Tiger King? Taman, no. I'm guessing you didn't.
Yeah, no, I did not raise my hand.
Yeah. I don't blame you guys.
Reminds me of COVID.
So that makes sense. So when you see the Tiger King memes or GIFs, you're just lost in the wilderness?
Lost in the wilderness.
It was like during the middle of The Last Dance, and I totally had rather watch The Last Dance.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Number 2 for me is the Siberian tiger.
That's a good pick.
Over 10 feet long, over 600 pounds. It's the largest cat that's ever walked the earth. Lives in minus 40 degrees. Hunts brown bears. Bears! It is a tiger that hunts bears alone. You have a tiger shark, the garbage can of the sea, on your list, and don't have the Siberian tiger?
Really cool shark.
There's only one tiger that could out-tiger the Siberian tiger, and I'll get to him in a moment, but it is a freaking Siberian tiger. It is a live tiger. It will literally rip your face off.
Man, these things are massive. They live in Russia and northeast China.
Minus 40 in Siberia. They've evolved to live in those conditions. They're like, yeah, this is home to us. And they hunt brown bears.
Those are some big cats.
Like in Russia, they would send people out to prison in Siberia. The tiger's like, I'll live here and eat and flourish.
I'll take care of this, guys.
I'm good.
I got it.
I'm all set.
Wait, say that again? They used to just send people out there into the wilderness to get eaten by the tigers?
I mean, they would send people out to Siberia to, like, survive, and they would, it's like, good
They
luck.
would just naturally get eaten by the tigers.
Or something, or die from frostbite, or I don't know, any of the other conditions you could die from being on. Maybe eaten by a brown bear. Could they be so lucky?
I have to say, that was a really good number 2. I wonder what your number was.
solid.
That was really
There's
good.
only one tiger that could out-tiger the Siberian tiger.
That one's a good one.
And I'm assuming it's the same one that young James Wesley
And
has.
who could it be?
Number 1.
Who could it be? Is it Tiger Woods? The Tiger.
You're up?
Won the 2000 U.S. Open by 50.
Oh, it is Tiger Woods.
Still the largest margin of victory in major championship history.
Is that Mills Lane?
I think so.
Yeah.
Researchers also found that golfers, and this is true, played significantly worse when paired with him
Yeah, the Tiger effect.
because of the Tiger effect, the intimidation factor.
Yeah, I mean, there's only, like, when you say Tiger, everybody knows who you're talking about, right?
Yep.
In fact, in a list of top 5 Tigers, number 1 I wrote Tiger, as if I would know
Cool.
what Tiger I was referring to.
Does he even have a last name?
Does he even have a last name? Eldrick Tiger Woods is clearly number 1 on this list. The only Tiger that can out-Tiger a Siberian Tiger is Tiger Woods. No question. Not only just the greatest golfer to ever live, but a cultural icon, a man who brought so many eyeballs to the sport of golf, many of which have not returned to the sport.
Yeah.
The ratings were through the roof. People wanted to tune in to watch him win or lose. A dominant force on the golf course. We have not seen an athlete that dominant since Michael Jordan. Tiger Woods, the only Tiger that could out-Tiger a Siberian Tiger is Tiger Woods.
And even towards the tail end of his career, like, people would still tune in to, even with the back injuries and the stuff when he wasn't that good, could he be the Tiger of old? It was must-see TV.
And what did he win? Even in his old, what's the last major he won? Was it the Masters or the U.S. Open? One of these
He won the Masters like
3 or 4 years ago.
recently.
Yeah,
Let's
which
see.
is remarkable considering his
his
entire
age.
2019, he won the Masters.
Okay,
His
so it's a little bit longer
15th
than-
career major.
7 years ago.
But it ended a 4,000-day drought. He hadn't won anything in 10 years.
Wow. All right, we should get out and get to Will Hammond. That's next. We had too much fun power ranking Tigers and athletes. It's Big 12 today. Heard on TuneIn, watched on Big 12 Studios.
Well, he seems to be doing okay right now. As Barry Bachmeier's pass is complete for a first down to Carson Ryan. Had big chunk yard runs here tonight, though. 2 in the 40s, 1 in the 50s. Down to the end zone. Ryan! Oh, he has it. What a catch. Touchdown.
On Instagram, 1.3 million followers. It's a phenomenal museum with books from the last 600 years.
Well, the book on this offense is that it has a lot of potential. Ryan making the catch for the first down.
Take Retzloff from the program. Bachmeier became the starter.
Bear will throw another open man. Carson Ryan strolling in for the touchdown. Ryan's second of the season. There, Bachmeier with time over the middle. Completed midfield and a first down catch by tight end Carson Ryan. Sort of moving on, but that was intense. Josh Heater on the sideline with his star wideout. Bachmeier across the middle to the tight end.
Inside Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. We welcome in Texas Tech quarterback Will Hammond here into the program. Will, how are you?
I'm doing great, James. Thanks for having me on. How are you?
Let's get the easy stuff out of the way. How's the injury recovery going, and what are the chances that a little over 30 days from now, Will Hammond will be the Week 1 starter for Texas Tech?
Yeah, fully recovered at this point. Got cleared by the surgeon about 3 weeks ago. So great to have that verbal approval from him. And I would give it a high chance that I'm out there playing Week 1. Obviously, at this point, it's still up to our training staff here. They've got the last say. But physically, I feel ready to go for Week 1, and I'm just excited to get back out there with the guys and get rolling.
Now, when you say physically ready to go, does that mean, fully physically available in terms of, you being a dual threat, or would there be potential limitations to that?
Yeah. No, I feel great running the ball right now too. We've done a lot of great change of direction drills. Our PT guys here at Tech have been awesome. So I feel physically ready to do both, throwing and running the ball. Definitely enjoying that feature in the game of football again. Didn't really get to do much of it during the spring, so happy to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
Will Hammond is with us here on Big 12 today, the kid who tore his ACL last season. He's now the guy holding the keys to a Big 12 title defense for the Red Raiders. So was there a point during the rehab process where you turned a corner? Like, was there a moment where you thought, okay, I'm starting to feel like myself again, like I can do this, I can be ready to go, and I can be what I was before or even better earlier than people think?
Yeah, I remember back in March during spring ball, on the off days between practices, me and our trainer, we were doing our acceleration days, and I remember hitting 20.7 miles an hour, and that was like, I think 4 months post-surgery. I just remember thinking, like, if I can hit a new top speed faster than I'd ever hit before surgery throughout rehab, I can come out of this stronger. So that was definitely a big realization for me. And then I think the trend throughout rehab, it felt like every 2 weeks I would hit a big jump in rehab. It felt like there was always some kind of plateau and then a big jump where, like, jumping felt easier or cutting felt easier or a new running drill felt easier. So those little bits of gratification that you get throughout keep you going. And then obviously the full clearance from the surgeon gives you a lot of confidence getting back out there with the guys. So I think a mixture of all of those things gives me the confidence that I need going into Week 1.
Well, what have these last 3 to 4 months been like for you? I'm sure it's been a whirlwind. It's certainly been a whirlwind for us from the outside looking in. So just kind of curious for, there's a quarterback that Tech gets through the portal. It looks like, that allows you to kind of go slower in your rehab. Just take us through these last 3-4 months, what they've been like for you.
No, yeah, it's been awesome. It's been great. I love the game of football, and I love the grind that it was coming back from this injury, and also love the challenge of it. But yeah, we've got great coaches and teammates here that were always supporting me throughout the whole rehab process, which gave me the confidence to get back faster. And just happy it's all played out the way it has. And at the end of the day, I was gonna prepare myself to be able to play this fall, regardless of circumstance. But glad that the opportunity is in front of me, and just excited.
Yeah, and I guess that's where my next question would be, did this speed up your process? What were you kind of ahead of the curve anyways, regardless of what played out with the transfer quarterback? Just give us a sense here of maybe how things have changed, or if they haven't at all.
No, yeah, there really wasn't much of a change. We were always kind of ahead of the 8 ball on the rehab process, and so when the news finally dropped midsummer or early summer, their kind of message to me was like, don't feel like you have to try and speed anything up. Like, we're already ahead of the 8 ball. Just keep trending the way you are, and your ultimate goal of playing Week 1 is going to happen. So we've done a good job with that.
Well, the receivers that you'll be throwing the ball to, no disrespect to the guys that were catching passes last year because it was a solid group, but I see a ton of NFL ready talent in that room. I love the portal class that Joey McGuire and James Blanchard have put together. How do you feel about your receivers and the guys that'll be catching passes?
Yeah, no, we've got a stacked group. Our recruiting staff, they killed it this offseason. I mean, all the way down to our 2 and 3 deep, we're pretty stacked. So it's a good feeling as a quarterback to know you've got a lot of weapons out there, and we can personnel a lot of things with our receivers and running backs and tight ends. So it's fun when you've got so many elite targets like that. You've got a lot of options of who you want to throw the ball to.
What attracted you to Texas Tech in the first place?
The staff, Coach McGuire. I know it sounds like something you've heard from everyone on the team, but it's actually true. He is the man, and they've got great people in this building. And it's because of the people he brings around. And I don't know, it's a great place to be out here in West Texas. Everyone loves Tech football. The offense is great. That was obviously a shiny thing for me. Go to a place where you can throw the ball a lot, and you're going to get a lot of receivers that can go run for you. So we're in a good spot.
Even though it was Zach Hitley that was the OC when you committed?
Yeah, it was exactly Zach Hitley. It's funny, people don't know this, but Leftwich was actually my second offer ever back when he was at UIW. So we go way back.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of fun having that relationship rekindled. He would have never gotten me back at UIW back in the day. He knew that, but now that he's here, we get to work together. So it's fun.
Well, the from everything that Joey McGuire has told us about you, we've heard stories about you from some of your teammates, and they all say that nobody loves the game of football like Will Hammond. Is that true? And I guess at what age did it kind of start to click for you? And is football the number one obsession in your life?
Yeah. No, yeah, we got a lot of guys on this team that love ball. I think I'm definitely up there. And yeah, to answer your question, football is for sure my number one obsession in terms of what I do on a day-to-day basis. It all kind of started just playing football in the backyard with my brothers growing up, and carried on through Little League and on. So yeah, no, I've always loved football. It's always been number one, and it's a blessing and so fun to be able to play it at a great university like this and college football nowadays. So yeah, it's awesome.
So take me back to a game, September 2023, Liberty Hill. You complete 36 of 58 for 719 yards and 4 touchdowns with 88 more yards on the ground and 6 more scores in an 82-80 loss.
Yeah, that's a pull for sure. That was a wild night. I think the game was like 4 hours long. No,
would have thought 5 or 6 given the 162 points scored. That's insanity.
Yeah, that game was a blast. Definitely a wild night, a lot of offense. Just a fun memory,
What do you remember about
I think my receiver had like 364 yards in that game. Just one of them had 364 yards. So there were definitely a lot of records shattered in that game.
Was that just like you had the confidence to know that like pretty much every play you were going to score?
Just about. I mean, I think there was one play where they dropped like 8 defenders and we were on the 30-yard line, and I just took off running and ran to the end zone. And I was like, I don't think they'll ever stop us, but we sure couldn't stop them. So that was a wild night.
That's like a throwback to the old Texas Tech teams way back in the early 2000s, right?
That's like an old early 2000s Tech game. Yeah.
Didn't Mahomes tweet about it too?
He did tweet about it. That was the first I'd ever gotten to hear from Mahomes. That was cool.
That's amazing. Will Hammond is with us here on Big 12 today, watching us on Big 12 Studios, listening on TuneIn. And Will, you're a strong guy. We've heard that from your coaches. It's clear the way you play. You're not afraid to take a hit. I've heard the comps of like you and Tim Tebow. Who do you model your game after in terms of playing that position?
I like Joe Burrow. No disrespect to Tim Tebow. He was great. Super strong, powerful quarterback. He was a little bulky, but I mean, he was a dog. I mean, won a national championship. So yeah, all the respect in the world to him. But no, I love Joe Burrow. just the moxie he plays with, and what he was able to do at LSU. So I always talk with Micah and Kenny and TC and those guys about 2019 LSU. We're always watching their highlights, and that's kind of the vision that we always have as we prep for this season.
You mentioned it was the first time that Mahomes mentioned you, so we know how connected Pat is to the program. You know, do you visit with him often? Do you get advice from him? What's your relationship with Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, no, it was cool. I got to hang out with him a little bit during pro day this past off season, and we were able to kind of talk ACL rehab and things of that nature, and off-season program and throwing. Like, we train with the same guy, and so it was fun to kind of crack some jokes about our guy Jeff Christensen. He's the man. So he's helped both of us a ton, and just good to have someone like that in your corner. I mean, he's the best player in the world, and to be able to at least get a little bit of advice from him every so often it's cool.
Yeah, what advice did he have for you on the ACL injury?
Yeah, no, it was funny because like I'm a month ahead of him in rehab in terms of like surgery date and whatnot. But it was fun to hear just the way that they approach it in an NFL building versus the way we approach it in a college building. Very similar, but kind of fun to just hear his process. And I was able to share some things like as I was starting some of my change of direction work with him, and he was able to share some things that kind of he was doing on a daily basis. So just good to have someone like that in your corner.
Yeah, you mentioned Jeff Christensen. He's your I'm assuming your private quarterback coach, essentially. Same guy that kind of mentored Mahomes and a bunch of other guys in the NFL. What has he been working on with you, and where, I guess, what areas do you feel more comfortable that you've improved in during that process?
Yeah, no, Jeff's been great. Spent a lot of time with him this off season. He's really big on the footwork and everything. Just having the consistency of that really helps with everything else. Yeah, we've been working on a lot of good things, and at this point, it's a lot of just kind of like fine tuning, getting ready to roll for the season. So yeah, he's been incredible this off season, and a huge testament to him for what I'll be able to do this fall.
That's awesome. What are you most excited about for this season?
Just getting back out there. I mean, when you miss the last 4 games of a season, last 5 games of a season due to injury, you're itching the whole off season. And I just can't wait to get back out in the Jones and see this place rocking. And
the Galaxy now.
It is the Galaxy now. Yeah, it is the Galaxy.
It'll take a little bit.
Yeah, but no, I can't wait to get back in there. They're redoing the turf right now in the north end zone. They're putting up the new double T logo in there as we speak. So
sweet.
I can't wait to get back in there and run out of this tunnel and start putting some points up on the board with the guys.
Well, we know, Will, between you and Joe Burrow, who has the better hair. It's clearly you. But when it comes to who's got the better style, is it Will Hammond or Joe Burrow?
I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the quarterback show, but his mom was talking about how much he loved dressing himself when he was a kid. And he seems to invest a lot into his clothes. So I try and keep it pretty basic. I'm like purely like Lululemon and whatever they give us here. So he might have me on the clothes. I'm not big into the baggy stuff.
Do you have any idea that you're kind of going viral today?
Why?
I think people, yeah, well, the hair, but then I think that, which I'm sure you've gotten throughout your career, the sunshine from Remember the Titans comparison. There are side-by-side photos of you two that for some reason have gone viral today.
No, someone sent it to me yesterday, and I kind of love it. I like to say that I claimed it last week. McGuire sent me something. He said, "Hey, the hair's looking really good," and I sent him the GIF of the clip when he was saying sunshine in the movie, and then they've been putting the stuff out this week. So no, I'm definitely behind it for sure. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's got my support.
Oh, that's awesome. The Sunshine Will Hammond campaign. All right, Will.
I'll keep letting it ride.
Oh yeah, you got to. You got the move too, man. I don't know what you're doing there, but I like it. I'm here for it. Will, before we let you go, all right, what are people sleeping on when it comes to Texas Tech? What's one thing about Texas Tech this season that people are missing when it comes to the Red Raiders?
I think the biggest thing is that like the defense is back. I think we had so many guys drafted off the defense last year that people might think that we would take a step back on that side of the ball, and that's just not even the case. Our linebacker core is so solid, and the transfers that we got on the D line are going to live up to the hype. And especially those guys on the back end having another year like Bryce Pollock. I mean, I can't wait for you guys to see Bryce Pollock live. So it's going to be special, man. That defensive side of the ball is really reloaded, and it's all anchored by AJ Holmes, and he's just been a great leader for that side of the ball. So I'm really fired up to let those guys go to work this fall.
Last one for me. Are you an Eagle Scout?
Yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout.
That's amazing. So, like for people that don't know, tell people what that means and how'd you achieve that status?
Yeah, it means that golly, it's been so long.
Like you've advanced so
Yeah,
far in
you've
the
advanced
scouting.
far enough in scouting, and you've achieved enough ranks. There are a lot of merit badges, a lot of projects that we did to get to that point, and it was a long process, but it was fun. Taught me a lot. Definitely a very adventurous guy, so it pays off to be able to know some little things out in the wilderness and whatnot, and kind of you learn a lot about leadership through Boy Scouts. But yeah, it was a great process, and our family was big on it growing up, and yeah, definitely taught me a lot.
That's amazing. Well, man, you're an awesome dude. Can't wait to see you out there on Saturdays, and good luck this season.
Appreciate it, James. Thanks for having me on.
Will Hammond, Texas Tech quarterback, joining us here on Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. More after this. You're watching us on Big 12 Studios. We are powered by Modelo.
Introduces himself to Scotty Fox in the backfield.
Horned Frogs show pressure. Kevin Jennings retreating. Bottles up and now goes down at the 5.
Double the red zone. And down he goes. How about those active ends and linebackers, huh? Caleb, the alarms are all over the place. This kid can play. Senior from Hayward, California. Option to the wide side. Connors, great play. Alarms are again. That young man has just been outstanding.
This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. Each and every day, we've been recapping some of what we heard from Big 12 Media Days and adding more context. And today, we're focused in on two programs seemingly at opposite ends of the spectrum here with TCU and UCF. I think TCU is a team that, from a talent perspective, is up there with anybody else in the Big 12. I mean, Texas Tech, TCU have the most quote-unquote talent overall. Now, TCU's schedule is tough, but I think lots of people think UCF will finish towards the bottom of the Big 12 and TCU will finish towards the top, or at least top half versus bottom half. So let's hear what coaches and players had to say at Big 12 Media Days. And let's start with the big story with TCU, which is a completely overhauled offense, including Gordon Samus coming in as their OC. This is clip one, Tame, and Sonny Dykes talks about the hiring of Gordon Samus.
We needed to quit turning the football over so much, and a big part of doing that is taking some heat off your quarterback, and that starts with running the football and doing it consistently, and so that's where we want to get to. And so we went out and hired Gordy Samish, came from UConn. You know, you look at his teams that he's coached there and their offenses, and they turned the ball over 5 times the last 2 years, which is kind of hard to fathom. And, you know, they ran the football. They had a 1,000-yard rusher, a 1,000-yard receiver. They've been very diverse in what they do. I think it fit our personnel well. So about 2 years ago, I saw them play on a Friday night, and when I was in the hotel and getting ready for a game on Saturday, and liked what they were doing, kind of studied them at the end of the season, and then as the season went on, did the same thing this year, and you know, had an opportunity to go hire them, and I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think it's the thing that we need to become, and so looking forward to seeing how it all comes together.
Yes, I mean, they're going to go from an offense that had way too many turnovers and was way too reliant on the passing game, could not run the football, to a team that should be the opposite based on the personnel and the scheme. It is definitely a needed overhaul, but it is an overhaul nonetheless.
And I'm not buying that this offense isn't going to look completely different. I believe it is. And I would say at the end of last season, the narratives surrounding TCU and UCF are very different than what they are today. I think at the end of last season, people saw TCU essentially cans their offensive coordinator. They lose their Heisman caliber NFL-ready quarterback. Meanwhile, for UCF, it was year 2 of the Scott Frost era, a bunch of guys coming back. They were on the verge of upsetting some top half of the Big 12 teams, where now it's totally flipped. Where now I think people have identified just how solid Jaden Craig is. He is a quarterback that NFL scouts love. They see that TCU has the second most NFL prospects on their roster in this conference. And then they see the track record of Gordon Samus and how that might actually be an upgrade. Whereas for UCF, I think there's been more holes that have been identified since the tail end of last season. You know, Alonzo Barnett III is really exciting. Played in a college football playoff game, James Madison. But they lose a lot of guys defensively. Malachi Lawrence, just how big of a void that is to fill. Maybe we didn't realize until the NFL draft. So I think both teams and both programs have kind of shifted in terms of their perception and expectations for this season.
Here's what, on the offense for TCU, what Sonny Dykes said about Jaden Craig, the new quarterback.
It begins with Jaden Craig, the transfer from Harvard. He's big, strong, intelligent, mature, self-aware, all the things that you want a quarterback to be. I mean, he checks all those boxes. Got a big arm. I mean, you know, if he'd come out this year, probably would have been a late 4th or early 5th round pick in the NFL. So, you know, he's coming to TCU to have a chance to play football at the highest level and to improve his draft stock, and I think he'll do those things and do them well.
Now here's what the aforementioned Jaden Craig said about Gordon Samus. So this is kind of full circle around the TCU new offense.
As soon as I stepped on campus and started watching film with Coach Samus, I knew right away that, it's a pro-style offense, going to attack defenses from so many different ways, run game, pass game, extending the, moving the pocket, things like that are all going to just make my job easier, just keeping the defense on their toes. And just the carryover from Harvard's playbook to here, there's just a lot of carryover. So the biggest, hump to get over was just the verbiage change in the signals. And once I got those down, I felt like I hit the ground running.
Yeah, if anybody can pick up an offense quickly, it's got to be a Harvard graduate like Jaden Craig is. And look, I think, the key to being successful in running the football in today's game, to me, is it's about window dressing. It's about pre-snap motion. It's about getting, keeping teams honest, running on first down, running out of spread personnel. So, traditionally you'll run out of, a formation with heavy personnel and maybe one receiver or two receivers. Now we see teams kind of empty the backfield and go maybe with 11 personnel and then run the football effectively because you're telling the defense, hey, we're going to throw and then run. It's running on first down out of 11 personnel when it looks like you're going to pass. It's flip-flopping what are normal, what are traditional and normal situations to run, and I think that's something you do see with Gordon Samus's offense.
Yeah, I mean, teams aren't running out of the wishbone
right.
anymore, and I think the general thought is, okay, you're replacing a quarterback who had nearly 10,000 career passing yards with a guy who played in the Ivy League last year. But Sonny Dykes reminding the audience that Jaden Craig would have been a top 4 or top 5 round NFL draft pick says just how talented he is. And then the other small sample that I look at is the bowl game last year. Josh Hoover did not play in the bowl game, and TCU beat USC in overtime, and they did it by running the football with Jeremy Payne, who had a career day, and then Ken Seals had a monster day. The backup quarterback, who had not played at all season, looked like Joe Montana out there against USC. So my point in saying that is I think that Jaden Craig is maybe an upgrade over not necessarily Hoover, but the other portal quarterbacks that they could have had. I think he's a very, very high ceiling, high level guy that they've brought in.
Yeah. All right, let's shift and talk a little UCF here. Scott Frost entering year 2. Here's what he said is different for him year 2 versus year 1.
It's a lot different. Year 2s are always better than year 1s. I think last year was a uniquely tough year 1 with the spring transfer portal, with the portal open when new coaches got jobs. I just got done telling a story about how I walked from my press conference to my office for the first time and had somebody waiting in the office that represented one of the players was on the team. I didn't even know who the player was yet and trying to negotiate right then.
Like what? I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. This year we were able to get to know our team, know which kids are about the right things, which kids we wanted to retain. We did a really good job of that, and then adding around them. We have guys in the building that understand where we're trying to go and our approach to doing it, players and coaches, and year 2 feels a lot better.
All right, so there you go. A little bit better understanding of the expectations. Here is what Scott Frost said about what they prioritize this offseason in terms of roster building.
Yeah, returning production is the most valuable thing in the portal right now. I laugh if my son's ever good enough to play, I might send him to a 1AA or something somewhere. And
get the experience.
Let him get the experience and then find his home after that. We have kids from, Buffalo and Monmouth and Wayne State in Nebraska, and it's amazing the collection of guys that our group was able to put together, and the guys have really gelled. So it's been fun to be around the group, and I think that's because we got a lot of guys that have high character and love football.
All right, so I think it's well documented, and we've talked a lot about it. The offseason UCF built in a way that is, 1-year guys, a lot of experience, a lot of production. I would submit to you that while you'd rather have 2-year transfer portal guys, in some cases, some of these schools won't be able to retain those guys if they have successful year 1s to get to a year 2. So I think this is the next best thing, and I do appreciate the approach of Scott Frost here.
Yeah, I mean, it shows me that they're all in on this season, and they're tired of not playing in bowl games because UCF is 7-20 since they joined the league 3 years ago, and they haven't been to back-to-back bowl games the last 2 seasons, back-to-back seasons in which they have not qualified for a bowl. That's the first time that UCF has missed bowls in back-to-back years since 2003 and 2004. Like, they were very much a program that expects to be playing in the postseason one way or another. So they have some holes to fill. Their third downs were just terrible last year, 117th in the country in third down conversion rate. Then they had 5 games where they didn't even hit 200 yards passing, and they went 0-5 in all 5 of those. But Alonzo Barnett III is the guy that's come in to hopefully fix all that.
Here's what Jaden Bellamy, one of the top corners in the Big 12, said about Alonzo Barnett.
At JMU, I seen a couple games, and like he reads the back, and he try to get a tell of what's happening to the secondary, so he knows what to read and what should he be looking at and stuff like that. But I feel like that helps us as an offense, because if you can get a tell into the defense, then you can probably be more than likely successful.
So you go in terms of how he's stressing that secondary and the defense of UCF throughout the offseason. And here's what Alonzo Barnett said about UCF.
Yeah, no, first off, inherently and unconsciously, I enjoy my time at James Madison, so within the next program I selected, and I was going to, see what made me feel the same way. How could I have the same sentiment at a new school? And so, like I just said, the family atmosphere at Central Florida, I felt that, immediately. There are coaches on the staff that have their sons, in the building working as well, and then on top of that, the staff they have, their children and their families around. So I felt the same type of family atmosphere, and that's just speaking off the field. On the field, I think Coach Frost and his pedigree with quarterbacks, it speaks for itself. My quarterback coach, Coach KZ, Mackenzie Milton, played the game at a high level at the same university, so that's a big help. He knows the ins and out of the university and what it means to be a quarterback. And then Coach Cooper and how he was kind of a mastermind in a sense with, the operations and play calling was really attractive to me.
I like everything that I hear and read about Alonzo Barnett III. I think he's very cerebral. I think he's dynamic, and I think he was overlooked because he's only about 5'11". The injury report on him is, to be honest, exceeds my expectations. I thought that would hamper him more, but I just like watching him at media days and speaking to him there, and the way he interacts with his teammates. That was maybe the number one thing that UCF had to fix this offseason. They did not have a quarterback last year. They had a carousel. They played 5 guys. Now they very much have QB1, and then they also have QB2 locked and loaded.
All right, so why are we pessimistic then on UCF?
Well, I think a couple of reasons. Number one, offensively, I have more concerns about the offensive line and their ability to run the football.
Yeah.
They lost their top 2 running backs in Miles Montgomery and Jaden Nixon, both dynamic guys that will have a shot to play in the NFL. And then defensively, I think we didn't realize just how impactful Malachi Lawrence was last season. After his combine, it's like, whoa, how many plays did he make up for, gap assignments, whatever it is, because of his freakish athletic ability and talent. And then some of the passing defense numbers were a little bit misleading. That's something UCF has very much leaned into. We have an elite secondary. Well, that secondary was really good at home against lower competition and teams that couldn't throw the ball very well, but when the stakes were raised, they really struggled, especially on the road. So those would be the things I look at and identify in terms of why the narrative is maybe shifted a little bit when it comes to the Knights.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm glad you brought up Malachi Lawrence, who's a first-round pick of the Dallas Cowboys, and then Nigel Lee Kelly, who went undrafted but is in camp with the Packers and has a good chance to make the NFL based on the same things we were talking about there in terms of what he did at the Combine. So 2 big losses. How do you replace those guys? And, yeah, I mean, I think offensively you've got to have some semblance of continuity at quarterback. They had so many different players play the position last year. There was no continuity. And good luck, having success on offense with 5 quarterbacks playing or starting games for you over the course of the season. Most teams don't have 1. Some have 1, maybe 2. But to try to think you can be competitive in multiple games with 5 different quarterbacks over the course of the season, there's no way.
And the health of Alonzo Barnett III is going to be paramount this season.
Yeah.
Because the backup for UCF is Keon Jenkins, who is a transfer from Florida International. And he's a guy that grew up in the area, but had very modest numbers last year at FIU. So in a league where more than half of these schools in this conference played a backup quarterback at times last season, and nearly half started a backup quarterback in some league games, that's important to look at, is the depth at that position.
It's Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio. He is James Westling. I am Ari Temkin. We are presented by Modelo. A reminder to check out the brand new Big 12 app, where you can find us, as well as breaking news, scores, highlights, and, of course, us, Big 12 Radio, streaming live right now on the brand new Big 12 app. It's Big 12 Today, Big 12 Radio on the way next. We hear from Noah Fafita and Tay Brown as we focus in on some Arizona talk from Big 12 Media Days. That's next. It's Big 12 Today, presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios.
Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio. We are powered by Modelo at Big 12 Media Days. Watched on Big 12 Studios. Arizona quarterback Noah Fafita, 2 down for me, and linebacker Tay Brown, joining Ari Timken and myself, James Westling, here at Media Days. First of all, Ari, take handshake lessons from Tay. That was a handshake.
It's a scary man right there. Are you scared, James?
Terrified.
Yeah.
You guys had a monster year last year, right? 9 wins. It feels like to us like maybe Arizona's not getting the credit that they deserve. So how do you guys, I guess, embrace that and continue to play with a chip on your shoulder? Year 3 now of the Brent Brennan era.
Yeah, I think it does give us a chip on our shoulder because at the end of the day, nobody really got to believe in us but us. So I think we all, as a collective, from the coaches to the players, we all know what we have, and we all know that we have a chance to do something special because of the coaches and the culture that they've instilled, the mentality that we have as players, and the personnel. So I think we have a chance to go do something that maybe the world doesn't think is possible, but at the end of the day, as long as we believe and we work for it, anything's possible.
Yeah, I can second that. I feel like if we all just believe in each other and go out there and play our brand of football, and we can just achieve the goals we have set in mind.
Are you real? Okay, so, I mean, we knew of all the amazing things that you do in the community, right? Brent Brennan, we have Monty talks about it. He told us you're a flag football coach for a team that was in first grade, now is in fifth grade. You're a high-level quarterback that has started 34 consecutive games, something like that. Sound right?
I'm not too sure.
You start a lot of games in college football. You're a student also. You're going to class. How do you have time for everything?
I think time management is something I've had to learn for sure. But I mean, I'm blessed to be in this position that I am today. This is everything I've prayed about, everything I've dreamt of. So for me, it's just being present, enjoying every opportunity, and continue to try to fulfill my purpose on this earth and glorify God.
Yeah, and look, I mean, collaborated with 6+ organizations, completed 116 service hours, and impacted 3,100 plus Tucson residents the first year. Partnered with, can you say that for me?
Tohono O'odham.
Thank you. Nation to unite 40 community members through shared meals, fellowship, and cultural storytelling. Worked with Arizona Cancer Foundation, provide supportive space for 8 women with breast cancer to share their stories. Doesn't even say here, flag football coach. What else is missing from here?
Yeah, I gotta give credit where it's due. My team kind of takes care of all of that for me. They do so much for our nonprofit, and for me, it's just kind of showing up and just being there. But all of that stuff, there's a lot more that goes.
Dude, showing up is half the battle, man.
No doubt.
Seriously.
Yeah. Tay, on the defensive side of the football, you've started 24 straight, and you're the most experienced guy on that side of the ball. In Arizona's defense, we saw a massive uptick last year. What went in to that growth defensively, and how do you guys take another step forward this season?
I think it was just everybody being bought in. Everybody believing in the scheme, believing in Coach G, believing in all the coaches. I feel like that really played a huge part. Everybody just believed that we could be the top defense in the country, and we went out there and did it. And this year we just got to keep that momentum, and everybody just got to keep being bought in, keep just doing their 111, and we'll have the even better result.
I'm just going to brag on Noah again because I'm firmly in the Noah for Heisman campaign, which is obviously why Arizona handed this out. But the thing to me, people complain about college sports right now, and it's like, yeah, these kids, they don't want to deal with adversity, and they just want to take the first plane out. And for you, you have the freshman season you had, your coach Bolts leaves. You could have left then. A lot of quarterbacks would leave, and nobody would have faulted you for it. Then you come back, you buy into Brent Brennan, and then you don't have a great year. And you could have left then, right? But you didn't. So I don't know why you're underrated, because everybody that's a college football fan says they want that kind of player, but yet nobody's like, you're not getting the attention that you deserve for being that kind of a player who stuck through adversity, who's been in one spot and hasn't left despite multiple opportunities to do so that would have been completely fine and justifiable. So I just think it is a rarity in college sports. It's something that should be celebrated, and it's a really incredible thing to see your career come full circle like this. There's not really a question in there. I just want to brag on you, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And it's getting noticed. You should know that. It's getting noticed, and it should be talked about more nationally. And you're going to play well this year, and hopefully it blows up, and maybe you are in New York for the Heisman race, and hopefully then it becomes a much bigger story, because I think,
I'm 40. I aspire to do many of the things that you're doing right now in the community. That's inspiring stuff, man.
Thank you.
I would love to hear you guys talk about each other. Like, Tay, how would you describe Noah Fafita as a player on and off the field and vice versa? So we can start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it just goes back to the stuff that nobody sees. I see him. I see him in the weight room. After we're done with lifts, after I'm done with treatment, he's still in the weight room. He's working on his mobility, working on everything. Just to perfect his craft. I even seen him. We went to a chiropractor, and I saw him there. I was like, "Please, once he go home." But he's great. He's great. He attention to detail, everything. He's really stepped up and been like more of a vocal leader, which is like something we all appreciate because he's such an amazing player. And then him just being a vocal leader, everybody can look up to him. It's definitely great for our team for sure.
Yeah, I think for Tay, you talk about ultimate professional. You talk about the ultimate professional doing everything right. We call him Mr. Redline, which is our standard. So if you're being called Mr. Redline, then obviously you're doing something right. He embodies what we try to build as a team. He's a standard. So you talk about that first and foremost, but even more so, just what he's been able to do on the field, to be able to continue to be humble as he is inspiring. And for me, I think it's super personal for me because my little brother's a linebacker. And I hear stories all the time about how Tay's kind of changed his process and changed his life. So I think it's just an inspiration. I think he's obviously been an idol for me, but for my little brother to learn from that, it's a blessing.
That's awesome. What are you more proud of, Tay? 80 tackles or 8.5 tackles for loss?
Man. Probably say tackle for loss because that's we go back, obviously. So I feel like that's
Splash play.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like I'm definitely looking to improve on that for sure. Looking to improve everywhere, to be honest.
Tay, are you a meticulous note taker?
Yeah.
Is that your thing?
I am. I like taking notes. I feel like even if I know it, I'll still write it down just to make sure I don't forget it or I remember it, or maybe it'll bring up another detail I could ask later in the film session that'll help me, make my read faster or something like that.
Like old school pen and paper, or
yeah, I like old school pen and paper. I feel like I remember it better. For sure.
write in calligraphy or cursive or something. So nobody else can read it.
Just regular.
How's T-Mac? Still talking to T-Mac?
Yeah, I was just with him. I was with him the last 2 days, so he's doing well.
Not bad, huh? Had a pretty good year last year, huh?
Not bad at all. Offensive rookie of the year is not bad at all.
Who should we look out for? It's going to be your pass catchers this year. We know Trey Spivey. He knows Trey Spivey. Who else?
Trey Spivey is going to be special. Gio Richardson. I think that's the one guy we'll throw out there. The name I'll throw out. Kid's electric. He got a contagious personality, and I've been telling everybody. I think if we do right by him and he stays healthy, he should go for 1,000 yards.
Man, I've heard the term red line from Arizona 3 times today between you guys, coach, and then coach at the podium. How would you describe what that means?
Well, Mr. Red Line, that's you.
Red line, it's just effort, execution, accountability. So effort, go 100 miles an hour 100% of the time. Execution, go out there and just don't say why you should be playing. Go out there and prove why you should be playing on the field, in the film room, at your meals, everything in the weight room. And then accountability. You just got to own it, fix it, do something wrong. On or off the field, wherever you are, just own it, fix it, just come back better next time. For sure.
Does this defense need to produce as many turnovers as it did last year to still be as good?
I feel like turnovers is definitely a big key to the game. We obviously want to get the ball back to the offense because the offense got the ball. We know they're going to score. They're going to score every time they get the ball. So, that's definitely a big key for us to have just as many turnovers we did last year.
But you've got 4 guys that got drafted, so is it a matter of just replacing those guys? Those are 4 studs, and then a couple other corners that are gone. To me, that's my biggest concern. I have no concerns about this team. My biggest concern is the secondary, which I know I'm not unique in that way. But I just wonder, do you need to have, turnovers are key, but do you need to have that many turnovers to still be that good on defense? Can there be different ways for you guys to evolve as a defense and still be good, but maybe not have as many turnovers?
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely other ways we could contribute, but just back that up. I'm not really worried about our secondary this year. I feel like, we had 4 guys go to the draft last year, but we also had some really good pieces in the portal and some young guys step up, and they were balling in the spring, and just to see how they work in the off season in the summer, and I'm just really excited to see how they attack this fall camp we got coming up in about a month. Yeah.
Noah, you are officially out of eligibility after this season.
Yes, sir.
You going to miss events like this?
Yeah, for sure. It's a blessing to be here.
Man, I know you guys got ESPN coming up. We're super pumped for what this season could look like. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Arizona linebacker Tay Brown, Arizona quarterback Noah Fafita here on Big 12 Radio. You're watching us on Big 12 Studios. We are brought to you by our friends at Modelo.
That's a sickle. Arizona getting exotic. It's lofted by Sorsby, and it's picked off. Dalton Johnson with the second takeaway for Arizona.
That was going to remain on the sideline today. That one looks laminated. Look out here. Howland flung for a huge loss. We know he can spin it, but so do Dalton Johnson and the Cats.
Tonight getting his first career carries. Ball is loose. A lucky bounce for Botmeyer. Can he make the most of it? And that ball down the field is taken away for the second time tonight.
Gotta be a good punt. Salgado Medina does get it away. And this will be touched by Kansas State.
And he goes right through his hands. And Johnson on the recovery. Johnny on the spot.
Lyman being able to swing it that well. Look at this second level blitz, and the Cats get hands on it again. Dalton Johnson part of that wave, back-to-back pass breakups.
Out of the shotgun. Jailbreak pressure. It's picked off. And it will be a pick six for Dalton Johnson. Wow, they got him at the 5. That was great defensive work. Wow, I thought no way they're going to catch up.
3rd and 22. Couple guys drop out. Sorsby in trouble. Gets it away complete. And he's wrestled out of bounds. Manny Covey.
Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are presented by Modelo, heard on TuneIn and watched on Big 12 Studios. See all this cool stuff behind us? Rally House. Thanks to our good friends at Rally House for providing us with some awesome gear. Check out rallyhouse.com to get your team merch now. Also, you'll notice behind James's shoulder, little pancake club. What are they calling it? The pancake club? Pancake?
Yeah. Saturdays with us.
Thanks to the athletic department at Cincinnati that sent us this.
Serving pancakes this fall.
What's in there? Let's unbox, shall we?
Have we not unboxed?
Have we not done an unboxing video on this?
What? All right, this is from Cincinnati. You can see that they're serving pancakes
There you
this
go.
fall.
I love it. It's,
with the offensive line.
remember, every detail, you got to slowly open. There's
Okay.
a slow
Right.
open, right?
I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. We're not doing it right. We have got the Bearcats' House of Pancakes.
House of Pancakes.
House of Pancakes. Full menu on the back.
And it's laminated. No.
Laminated. No,
This,
I
is,
think
this one's laminated.
that's just a heavy card stock.
Evan Tengisdal,
What?
Joe Cotton, Tarantayo.
Okay. I didn't realize there were actually gifts inside this box. I thought it was just a core.
Yeah, and you know, Taman gave this to me to take home after media days, and then I was tasked with bringing this back, and I thought really long and hard about not. But I'm a good teammate, and I did it.
Is that maple syrup?
It's maple syrup, yeah.
I put a little maple syrup in my hair every day.
Syrup.
Syrup. Syrup?
Syrup.
Is it syrup or syrup?
Syrup.
Why is ballet spelled with a T? I'll never know.
French.
Saturdays with us. Pancake mix.
You make a lot of pancakes around your house?
All the time, actually, yeah. Protein pancakes. Love them. And then this is, I'm going to guess, just another.
Pancake mix?
This is a sweet sticker.
It's quite the Bearcat. I've never seen that Bearcat before.
That's a Bearcat that needs to be on a helmet.
And this is...
No joke. This needs to be a primary logo on an alternate throwback helmet.
Agreed. I want to try this syrup, though. You want to give us, want to give it a go? Just start chugging?
I'll dabble right now.
Just chug.
Man, I'm not going to chug it.
Why not?
This isn't Elf. But I'll try it. There's no nutrition label.
So you think it's nutritional? It's syrup. It comes from a tree. It comes from tree sap.
Okay, I can't even. Okay, here we go. I've got a little bit on my finger.
It gets sticky everywhere.
That is delicious.
Delicious. It is syrup. It does have sugar. It stands up.
It has a lot of sugar. It has a lot of sugar. As somebody who doesn't eat a lot of sugar, that is all sugar.
We also have one of these.
That's fantastic.
This is the Cincinnati Bearcats. This is a friendly Bearcat, is it not? This is a Bearcat you'd see on the street and say hello to.
Yes.
Very approachable Bearcat here. Hey, how are you? It's just your friendly neighborhood Bearcat.
I told you that in another life, I work at Nike, part of their design team, and this secondary logo is already on a Cincinnati helmet. In the other dimension.
Got it.
This is sweet.
Yeah.
It's the same logo that was on the keychain you were just holding, by the way.
All right, thank you for sending us this. This is the Bearcats' House of Pancakes.
I'm going to assume I've laid claim to the syrup. I stuck my finger in it.
Yeah, that's your...
I think I should probably keep it.
I think we should just keep it here. It can live here.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. You can totally keep it.
No, we can.
I don't really care. Thanks to Cincinnati for sending it to us. I actually do care, and please send us another one.
That's a major win.
Yeah. Hey, so not to say that the SEC teams don't have the highest strength of schedule. I'm not trying to say that it doesn't. However, when the SEC's partner, ESPN, releases their SOS strength of schedule top 20, and it's all SEC teams, I mean, this isn't a joke. You would have to go all the way to 16th to find a non-SEC team with a top 20 strength of schedule. Arkansas 1, Oklahoma 2, Texas 3, Kentucky 4, Ole Miss 5, Mississippi State 6. This is not a joke. Florida 7. Sorry, I missed Ohio State. Ohio State 8. So that's the one. A Big Ten team that's in the top 10. A&M 9, South Carolina 10, LSU 11, Missouri 12, Auburn 13. So you've got the trio of Tigers in the SEC at 11, 12, and 13. Tennessee 14. Is this serious? 15th is Alabama. I mean, how many teams are there in the SEC?
16?
So
right?
14 of the 16 are in the top 15 of ESPN's strength of schedule metric. Michigan is 16. Northwestern is 17. Vanderbilt is 18. So there's 15 of 16. USC is 19. And poor old Georgia, just 20. So all 16 teams in the SEC find themselves in the top 20 of the ESPN strength of schedule. Again, I'm not saying that they don't. I'm simply telling you that this really fits into the criteria that ESPN is cooking the books to make it seem like the SEC is so big and bad and incredibly difficult. And my goodness. Why is the SEC so good? Well, because they play a tough schedule. Why is their schedule so tough? Because they play each other. Huh? What? Oh, yeah, they play a 9th conference game now.
This is just ridiculous. I mean, they're not even hiding it anymore. The lean and the bias towards the SEC. I mean, this is insane.
Well, and it sets the table for the CFP discussions when they start, right? Well, they have the SEC is the best strength of schedule.
And I don't find it a coincidence that the SEC met with the College Football Playoff Committee to talk about the importance of strength of schedule. And then a couple of weeks later, ESPN rolls out their preseason top 20 strength of schedules, and it's literally the entire conference. Like,
how many SEC teams made the College Football Playoff last year?
A billion, like everybody.
But 6, right?
Was it 5 or I think was it 5 or was it 6?
5.
They didn't win any games. I know that.
Yeah, they
Except
won
for the game they played each other.
Correct. They won one game in the entire playoff out of 5 teams, and it was the one game where the 2 teams played each other. So
And
they
Ole
had to
Miss
win.
beat Tulane in the first round.
Yeah, that was the other one. You're right.
That was the other one.
2 wins. But yet they want you to focus on strength of schedule to talk about how great their teams are instead of the results that we've seen from them in the playoffs the last few years. If the Big 12 sent 5 teams to the playoff, would they win over or under 2 games?
5 teams to the playoff?
Think they can get to 2 wins?
Yes. I mean, it depends on matchups, obviously, but yes.
I would imagine there'd be a Tulane matchup in there and then a Big 12 on Big 12 matchup in there as well.
Because if you look at what teams do in the non-conference, the Big 12 had a better non-conference collective record, and significantly so. Better winning percentage, more high-profile wins than the ACC. And the ACC fared quite well in the college football playoff. Miami made it to the national championship game. How we fix all this, like, this is a problem. So let's talk solutions. Preseason, the only strength of schedule metric that should even be out there is your strength of schedule in the non-conference. And then, which there are some Big 12 schools like a Texas Tech or a Kansas State that wouldn't fare very well in terms of their non-conference strength of schedule. But then how these conferences actually perform in the non-conference when they're playing each other, teams from other leagues, then dictates your strength of schedule once you get into league play, right? Like, that makes way more sense to me than just, because we're playing a bunch of teams from the same league, this is our preseason strength of schedule.
Well, and again, like, you it's not a conspiracy. I'm not here to say that, like, the Big 12 is a better football conference than the SEC, but the fact that the SEC is believed to be this dominant, to me, is the egregious part of it. And it just all, to me, is part of this goulash of this is why the SEC is so good. Why? Because we say so. Like, well, the metrics say so. Well, what metrics? Well, the metrics that we've used to say so. And again, like, I love that you're solutions oriented here, and I think you're totally right. Like, take your non-conference strength of schedule, which is the only data points we have from a conference playing outside of its conference, and then put that into your metrics. If the SEC lays an egg in the non-conference,
it should matter.
It should matter. Do the strength of schedule metrics hold up for ESPN if the SEC lays an egg in non-conference play? It's brutal.
In strength of schedule metrics in the non-conference, actually, if you look at the data, usually check out. Okay, Miami in the non-conference went 2-1 last year. Their only loss was to a top 5 Texas A&M team. In the closing seconds, they lost that game 42-40. And then they beat another power conference opponent in the non-conference. You look at the way Texas Tech was crushing people in the non-conference. In Big 12 play, they were just as dominant. And the Big 12 2 years ago we had a bad non-conference. The year that Arizona State won the league, the Big 12 had a down year when it comes to the non-conference. And I would argue that Arizona State, being, a 12 seed, was justified. They had a late season push to get in. Then last year you had two dominant teams in Texas Tech, BYU, and even Utah in the conversation. The league was much better. Oh, and shockingly, the league was much better in the non-conference last season compared to the year before. That should be the metric.
Yeah, so all 20 or all 16 SEC teams find themselves in the top 20 of strength of schedule according to the SEC's
Well, here's what
partner,
they're doing. The
ESPN.
SEC is now canceling any of their marquee non-conference matchups because they play each other in league.
They're saying it's because they're playing 9 league games. What it's really saying is because we want our strength of schedule to remain what it is so that nobody will find out the secret that we're not as good as we say we are.
That is it. Meanwhile, the Big 12 is scheduling opponents like Notre Dame and future home and homes with, Texas Tech, and they just agreed to a deal with somebody big. It wasn't Notre Dame. You guys, anybody remember? Tammy, do you know? You had it on the rundown. Texas Tech, who'd they just agree to a future home and home with? All right, I'll find it.
Is it Clemson?
Maybe? Honestly, I don't know. I know USC was discussed, but it's somebody big.
Well, maybe it was USC. I think you're right about that.
So, the Big 12 is seeking high-profile, marquee non-conference matchups.
The SEC is doing the opposite.
Totally. And the Big 10 is like, yeah, we'll play whoever.
It's egregious BS. All right. Let's do it again tomorrow. This was fun. Did you have a good time, James?
Yeah, I had a great time, but I'm going to find this, dang it. I'm going to find it.
All right, thank you to Anthony Smith, our great producer with Big 12 Studios. Thanks, of course, to Tammy Turner. T. Chains is our producer here with Tune In. Thanks to James Westling. I'm Ari Temkin. Say goodnight, James.
Good night.
We're out. Peace.